Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Friday to all of you. So glad that you're here with me tonight. No singing. I'm going to jump right into it. Introducing my co-host for the evening, my regular partner in crime, Aged Boomer. How you doing today, Aged Boomer?
I'm doing fine. Good evening.
What you sipping on?
I have a Schweppes ginger ale. I got to work in the morning as usual, but
Fair enough. Schweppes ginger ale. That's a fairly sweet soda, isn't it?
It's not bad. It's the Pepsi brand ginger ale, basically. All the major companies have their own ginger ale.
Do you have a strong preference? Pepsi, Coke, etc.
It depends. Actually, if it's cola, I usually prefer Coke. But for other things, like I actually like the Pepsi root beer the best of all. Then there's A&W root beer, of course. I don't know. I go from soda to soda. You know what's interesting, though? I learned this from going to the Coca-Cola Museum in Atlanta one year. Different countries around the world have their favorite soft drinks.
Sure.
In the Asian countries, they're big on the canned teas, the teas,
Sure.
the sweet teas. In Africa, they're big on the ginger ales.
Huh.
They like ginger ale over there, so they have different kinds of ginger ales they sell over there. So that's why you'll see a lot of these companies, they have to at least have a brand of canned iced tea or a can of ginger ale, and they'll have stuff that they sell in other countries we don't get.
Yeah, I've become Nanette will tell you this all the time. I've become a big lover of ginger beer. Ginger beer is great. If you have an upset stomach, that's the stuff to go to. Between the carbonation and the ginger itself, I honestly don't even really taste the ginger in ginger ale. It's so sugary. But ginger beer, yeah, that's where it's at. I am sipping on because I enjoyed it so much last week. I'm having another Death Star. You can look at last week's video if you want to see a link to the recipe. It's got a whole bunch of booze in it and cola. And I have it in a very rounded brandy snifter with a neon green straw, so it looks like it's firing, the blaster. So I'm getting blasted. That's the idea. Now, last week when I drank this drink, I didn't even feel it. I for all the booze that was in it, I was really surprised that I didn't. But tonight, I'm feeling a little warm right now, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay,
which is probably good considering how meaty I think the topic is going to be tonight that we're going to jump into. But let me say hello to the chat, starting with my lovely Netter. I'm not doing the whole, it doesn't count because you were sent a link. You are always first in my book, and since you are first on the list here, you absolutely do get the coveted no prize of being first. And then we have William Jackson. I hope you did make it back, my friend. I hope you're here to hang out with us tonight. Nicole Malott. Do I know that name? I'm sorry.
Doesn't look right to me, but welcome.
But yeah, no, I'm so glad you're here. And boy, I love your taste in drinks. Pepsi float, that's brilliant. I haven't had an ice cream float in years. That would be a lot of fun. Yeah, maybe I should get some. Alexa, add ice cream to the shopping list.
Actually, sweetie,
ice cream added.
Daniel Heron had posted before I did.
Oh, that's right. He may have fallen off. So Daniel Heron may have fallen asleep, but if you're here, so glad that you at least stopped by and said hi.
What kind of ice cream did you add?
I would assume vanilla, right? Vanilla is what you have in a float.
French vanilla or a vanilla bean?
I think you got to go with vanilla bean for a float. French vanilla
too.
is like better for Sundays, just my opinion.
Gotcha.
Zetopia, Hi, how you doing? Good to see you there. And I think I've hit everybody that we got here tonight. Well, I want to start off with one little thing. Not doing this tonight, but you're going to be you five. And I think that's actually two because, Yumi and Netter count as three of those five. I have a copy of the book Star Wars: The Heart of the Jedi. I haven't broken the spine yet. I haven't looked at it yet. I haven't read it yet. The book, the text of the book is available online for free. But if you've been following along in the news, this 1992 EU book by Kenneth C. Flint was recently up for sale very briefly this past week. Lot of odd stuff going on behind the scenes about that. Not so sure. It was originally slated to come out in 92, but never released. Suddenly released very briefly at a very discounted rate, about $10, $11. It's literally at cost. So nobody made any money on it. That's basically the production cost. It was only available on Amazon for a couple of days, and then it was gone. And now the book goes for starting bid on eBay, $100, with buy it nows as high as $600. I have decided that I am going to give away my copy of this book to somebody who joins the stream next week. Cool. I don't even know what we're going to be talking about next week.
We could talk about Star Wars.
We could talk about Star Wars. We absolutely could, especially if there's more news that comes out in the next week.
Exactly.
But whatever I'm talking about, get the word out. If you know somebody who's really into Star Wars and the EU, I'm going to choose a name at random. I'm going to say something like, hey, if you're interested in this book, put an F in the chat or something. I don't know. And we'll take down your name. We'll throw it into a hat, pick it at random, and then we'll get your deets so we can send you the book. Okay? That's what I want to do. This is me trying to support the community, support what is it that Max World Entertainment Trey always says? Instead of bashing what you hate, support what you love. Well, I am going to bash what I hate, but I'm also going to support what I love. This is my way of supporting what I love. Mm-hmm. But Boomer, I think, why don't we just go ahead and start talking about that topic? There's been a lot of Star Wars news this week. And don't get me, I'm not going to take any wind out of your sails, Boomer. We can certainly talk about this stuff on Sunday too, but I don't think we'll talk about it with the depth that we could talk about it tonight.
Sure.
There's been a lot going on this past week. There's been this article that came out from Variety, which a lot of people see as a follow-up to the Forbes article from a couple weeks back. And Midnight's Edge was talking about it today with Kamran Pasha kind of giving his analysis of what was said in that article. And Boomer, I'm just going to say it. I feel vindicated by this article. I think that something I've been saying for years is coming to fruition. Not to say I told you so, but I told you so.
Why don't you want to give a brief summary to those in the chat who may not have heard it or might be listening later?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So here's what it basically comes down to. Hold on a second. Somebody's yelling my name here. Zetopia. I love the idea. You are very generous. That book could buy a lot of Kraken. I'm not going to say this is going to improve your chances of getting the book next week, Zetopia, but the link is in the description if you want to buy me some Kraken. Just saying. I think Kraken's like $10 a bottle these days. If you want to contribute to the Kraken fund, just saying. So yeah. Do I still have the article up? Yeah. So this was from Variety. It came out 2 days ago on the 12th. And the title is maybe a little kind of a weird title. Disney's New World Order leads to confusion and bruised egos. Mm-hmm. Now, honestly, I think that phrase New World Order is really just to get clicks and get people reading it and wondering what it's all about, because really the whole article breaks down the fact that there's a big corporate upheaval going on over at Disney. And I am not talking about rumors, speculation, Doomcock, any of that stuff. This is Variety. This is not fandom. This is the industry talking, okay? Just like Forbes. Forbes was not parroting, what Geeks and Gamers says. They were calling it like they see it. The fact that it happens to coincide with things that Geeks and Gamers has been saying may say something about Geeks and Gamers. I'm just saying. But this is the industry talking about it. And they're pointing out that now, as a side note, Midnight's Edge did a breakdown of this article with Kamran Pasha today. So if you follow Midnight's Edge, go check out their video from today. It's like 3 hours long, but it's only like the first hour and a half they're talking about this. Mm-hmm. And Kamran points out, how long has Bob Chapek been in charge? It's been, what, a year now? Year and a half?
Because there was that weird thing where Iger kept staying on and didn't want to leave, even though Chapek took over. I remember that, yeah.
So why would Variety be talking about this now? It says things like, let me give you a quote from the article here. It says, when Iger departs in December, it's expected that Walt Disney Studio Chief Executive Officer Alan Horn will also leave. So that means Iger's still there in some capacity, and we've talked about that he's put Bob Chapek in charge, but still hasn't completely left. It sounds like they're saying, yep, it's definitely happening now.
Okay.
And not only that, but now this Alan Horn, is also going to leave, and someone else is going to take over his position, and so forth. A guy by the name of Alan Bergman, don't know his name, but he was the former chair of Walt Disney Studios. Okay. Former co-chair. And, but one of the things it says here, this is a quote from the article, mind you. Again, this is Variety. This is not Doomcock. This is Variety. Bergman and his team will have to manage competing fiefdoms of power to ensure that the studio's various brands play nicely together. What does that sound like to you, Boomer?
Warring factions, maybe? Or bringing the warring factions.
No, there's no civil war. That's a bunch of crap that Doomcock made up.
Yes.
That's bullshit. They're all in the same SJW mindset, every single one of them.
Yes, they're all happy friends.
And I've been saying all along, if you believe that, then you've never worked in frickin' corporate America.
Yeah.
Okay? There may be a single-minded corporate agenda, but that corporate agenda is to make fucking money.
Well, did anybody see RoboCop?
Yeah.
Remember RoboCop, the vying factions? And
you know what? We're going to have to do a rewatch of RoboCop.
Yeah.
Of Demolition Man and Idiocracy. In fact, I think I may take 3 weeks out of my Friday streams and do those 3 movies because they have been incredibly prophetic films. But seriously, corporations only exist to make money. And you have the Occupy Wall Street crowd bemoaning how unfair it is that these corporations run the country. And I'm not going to say I completely disagree with them. To some degree, I certainly do agree with them. But we have to at least be intellectually honest and accept that absolutely those companies and everybody is talking now about how the tech giants are, trying to manipulate the world with their power. Okay, yeah, maybe. But first and foremost, they're still out to make money because you have no power without that money. Okay, Disney, and I've said this all along, whatever their agendas and the SJW mindsets and all of that kind of stuff goes nowhere without the money to do it. Right? If they go bankrupt,
But they're making money hand over fist, right? Every movie's a blockbuster
Well,
they make, right?
yeah. See that
#1 in streaming wars and all this, right?
Well, see, we can talk about what it means to be #1 in the streaming wars. I've been saying all along that leading in the streaming wars ends up becoming diminishing returns. Right?
Yeah.
It's not the same as when Star Wars was released in 1978 in theaters, and I went and saw it 3-4 times. Okay, and many other people saw it many more times. Okay. If you stream it, you're not going to pay for it a second time.
No.
And if it's not a premium stream where you have to pay extra, you're not paying anything extra. The only thing they get is the number of people subscribing to their service every month. So where's the incentive to create new movies at all? Let alone big blockbusters that cost $1 billion to make.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, they basically been out of the theater game for a while. I mean, they even had simultaneous releases. I think we've been
and I'm
covering
not
this
even
long
gonna
enough.
I'm not gonna get too into this because we will definitely be talking about this on Sunday. But there was a piece that came out on several platforms. Disney misses expected subscriber goals by millions.
Oh yeah.
Disney parks down 44%. So no, Disney is not making money hand over fist. It is incredibly tight over at Disney. And as far as the parks go, Universal is making money hand over fist above Disney.
Yeah, they have a lot of
the Universal parks are full. Disney parks are almost empty.
Well, Universal always adds stuff too. I've noticed, like we're getting that Velocicoaster coming up soon too. I mean,
we talked about that last week. Mm-hmm. And Universal has also very much relaxed their mask mandates.
Mm-hmm.
Their mask mandates are, you need to wear a mask. That's about it. And there's very little, enforcement of it in the park. If you're having a drink, if you're having food, you're walking around with food, it's fine. Just kind of keep your distance from people, whatever. Disney?
Oh, yeah.
Every 100 feet, there's a mask cop telling you to put a mask on or get out of the park.
Wear them while sitting down at a dinner table.
Yes.
And
they're very specific about the masks you have to wear. If it says mouse on it, you're good. And they're making money hand over fist on masks that they're selling in the parks. Seriously, you can't just go in with like a bandana over your face. You've got to have something that goes over the ear and very specific and very detailed. And the masks that they sell at their stands all happen to meet their requirements. Universal, you could just pull your turtleneck up over your face. That's fine.
I wonder how much they sell those for too, those masks.
Well,
I'll do some research on that. Yeah.
Expensive. But yeah, so what it comes down to is what I've been saying all along. It's true. Inevitably, we're going to win the culture war, if only because you vote with your dollars. Okay. And it's not like the US election where, 50% of people don't even bother. Okay. Everybody is voting with their dollars, whether you go to the movies or you don't go to the movies, what movies you go to, what movies you don't go to, what movies you go to multiple times, what streaming service you frequent. You're telling them what you want. And if they want more of your money, they will make more of that, which is basically why when something is a hit, you see every other studio trying to reproduce it. Right. Mm-hmm. When you have, what's the kid with the scar that does magic?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. When you have Harry Potter, then you have another studio trying to make Percy Jackson, right?
Or that kid from Jerry Maguire as the vampire friend or something movie.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's always, what did Rosanna Dana say? Well, there you have it. It's always something, right?
It's like after Star Wars, you got Battlestar Galactica and Buck Rogers, and nothing against either of those, but they were,
and those became great in their own right. Now the fact that they were TV, that's a whole different demographic, a whole different audience. So that's great. You know, that's great for us as fandom, right? But we always bemoan one thing about Hollywood. Hollywood doesn't seem to be able to come up with its own original ideas anymore. If it doesn't already exist in some form that they can remake or adapt to a movie, they can't do it, right? Well, Cameron Pasha was talking about that today on Midnight's Edge. Not that Midnight's Edge needs me to, bolster them with my 5 people watching, but I am a fan, so I'm going to. Okay. And he pointed out, he's like, it's risk management. If you know something's popular, you just do that, right? It would be stupid not to. You take a risk otherwise. Sometimes those risks pay off, like Star Wars, the original Star Wars, George Lucas.
Back in 1977, when I've repeated this, when I think Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford went to a movie theater to watch the first trailer when it got released, and there's like coming soon to theater Star Wars, and then someone in the audience said, "Yeah, coming soon to the midnight movie on Channel 4 or something." They were mortified. They thought this movie was going to tank.
Well, to be honest with you, I look at those old trailers and I'm like, yeah, no, that trailer stinks. But the movie blew people away. And you know what? I don't care if it's word of mouth or word of internet. It's still the same concept. You go see a movie and then you go, oh my gosh, this was great. Well, I don't want to say aged boomer because I'm thinking about when we were kids. So
right.
Is it okay for me to use your alter ego?
What?
Your secret identity? Can I blow your secret identity?
The name is Jeff. You want to say my name? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Jeff, I saw this movie over the weekend. You got to see it. I'll go see it again with you because it was so good. It was Star Wars, and it was these spaceships and a lightsaber and Darth Vader. And that's really how Star Wars, became the big thing that it was.
Yeah.
And some of my fondest memories were playing with the action figures, going over to my buddy David's house, and he had the Millennium Falcon. I didn't have the Millennium Falcon. He had the TIE Fighter, but I had the X-Wing.
I am old enough to remember what it was like to play with those toys when Star Wars was still hot. Because I was like 4 or 5 when I started getting into it, and Empire had come out like a year earlier. I think I was 3 years old when Empire came out in the theaters. I think my parents even brought me. I fell asleep during it. Okay, I'm a kid, but I love the toys, and I watched the first movie on Showtime and loved it. And the neat thing was, I remember back in those days, was that it didn't matter which side you were playing. You'd either be Rebels or Empire. It was still cool to play as either the good guys or the bad guys because they were both cool in their own right.
I'll be honest with you. As I've gotten to be an adult, and don't take this as any kind of moral relativism,
right?
But just analyzing the politics of it, I can kind of see both sides of the Empire versus Rebellion thing,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now, obviously, Palpatine and Darth Vader were evil freaking guys, right?
Right.
But Luke Skywalker blew up the Death Star without a thought. Do you know how many people he killed? And he was okay with it.
But that thing is going around blowing up planets.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Dude.
Right hand, left hand,
Oh, goodness, listen to me. This is like the argument.
Picard would have sent a message. We're going to blow up your Death Star. You better evacuate. If you don't evacuate,
you're dealing with a bunch of ragtag rebels dealing with a superior force. It's like people saying, would the rebels be considered terrorists? Like this was after 9/11 happened.
I'll tell you who really addressed this very topic very well. Yeah. We talked about it back on Mr. Matchstick's Cultural Fortress. Mr. Matchstick Tuesday nights. Make sure that you're subscribed and hit that notification bell.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about that 1980s TV miniseries V. It starts out with a photojournalist interviewing a rebel in, I want to say Honduras. I can't remember. I'm a little foggy. This Death Star is hitting me a little bit harder than last week's was. And he's a freedom fighter fighting against, you know, the corrupt government. And they draw distinct parallels between that opening scene and then later all the freedom fighters fighting for the freedom of Earth against the invading aliens, right? And of course, the World War II analogies are very clear. They hitch over the head with it. There's no missing them. So you start to think of the Germans, people like Oscar Schindler, and the French, resistance, and so forth. I mean, yeah, history is written by the victors, right?
Right.
And, you know, I've actually heard great arguments on both sides of the rebellion versus imperial argument, you know?
Yeah.
Which gets a little bit more sensitive when we start looking at modern day politics, just saying, you know?
Of course, yes.
But I do feel like, okay, so going back to the article, and I am going to pull a little bit of Doomcock into this. So there's a lot of outlets building off of the commentary by Doomcock, and Doomcock has basically said that he's had at least 4 sources tell him that Kathleen Kennedy has accumulated a good deal of vacation time, and she's on extended vacation until her contract comes up again in October. Kamran Pasha has put out the prediction, and his predictions have been spot on. He knows what he's talking about. He said, here's my prediction. He says, watch the award ceremonies at the end of the year and watch Kathleen Kennedy maybe get put up for some sort of lifetime achievement award. Okay. And then an announcement that she's retiring. So, and they're not renewing her contract. And thank you so much for everything you did, Kathleen. And Jon Favreau, congratulations on taking over Lucasfilm.
So you're thinking that they're trying to figure out a way to get her to exit gracefully, and that's what this is all about?
They've already decided it. They've already decided it, and they are going to completely sidestep. So if you're one of those people that is like, well, I will not subscribe to Disney Plus until we get an apology, and they say publicly that they are firing Kathleen Kennedy and they're getting rid of Pablo Hidalgo, you know what? Wait, you should really expect sunshine and rainbows to shoot out of my ass.
They're never going to admit they made a mistake. At least
that's not the way the world works.
At least not until like maybe 20 years later. Okay, when a lot of these executives
and here's
are long
another
gone, then they'll say, "Yeah, we kind of messed up with that sequel trilogy, and now we're, you know, they're not going to do it right now. It's going to take a while." Okay,
this is a prediction that Kamran made, based not on any information he has, but he prefaced it with, "If what Doomcock said turns out to be true." Okay. And what Doomcock said was there's a rumor some people have seen Gina Carano on the set of the Book of Boba Fett. And he said, if that's true, if Gina Carano comes back, which she would only do because of her relationship with Jon Favreau and the other people that are currently working at Lucasfilm. If she's doing anything for Lucasfilm, watch for her to be the big surprise in the Book of Boba Fett at the end, comparable to Luke Skywalker. And if that happens, you need to take that as Disney's "we're sorry," because that's the best you're going to get.
How does Disney, if this happens, walk back all the stuff done so far? Okay. Basically,
they don't even address it.
they're going to have to, because it's going to come up. Because you know how at the same way at those investor day meetings, you have people bringing it up in front of Bob Iger. Hey,
how did they respond?
Why did you do?
They responded with corporate doublespeak.
So they're going to do
pivoted
more
and they
corporate
moved
doublespeak as to why they brought.
Yep.
Okay, I don't know. Because here's the thing. I understand how it makes sense, because you want to keep Jon Favreau happy, and I'm sure he was not happy about that decision. I don't think he had anything to do with it. And
no, it was absolutely
it wasn't the fact even that they even let her go. It was the way in which they did it. I mean, they essentially blacklisted her from Hollywood. They essentially did a lot of damage
and
to her
she
career.
proved herself to be unblacklistable.
Mm.
She did. She showed that she had the fan clout to say, F you, I'm going to go do some independent stuff. Hell, you even had Bear Grylls going to bat for her. By the way,
There was that, yeah.
that Bear Grylls episode, second highest rated episode of the Bear Grylls show. I don't know who the first one was. Somebody said it and it was a celebrity. I don't know. So I don't know. Her show outscored Anthony Mackie's episode. Just saying. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
And everybody who's ever actually worked with Gina Carano has nothing but good things to say about her. Even people that disagree with her politically love her.
Zootopia has a comment here. If you don't mind, I'll respond to it.
Please.
Contracts have to be done months in advance. If they didn't announce an extension for her soon, it's not going to happen. They would have to do a new contract, though, because they severed the old one. Okay.
Keep in mind that in this kind of an instance, no news means nothing. If they have not created a new contract with her, if they are not planning to form a new contract with her, they're not going to tell us that. That will not happen until her contract has already passed.
Mm.
And like I said, you're going to get the whole she's retiring and goodbye.
They did keep Luke Skywalker under wraps up until the end.
They did.
Nobody knew about that. So it's not within the thing that something could happen.
I would not put it past Favreau, though, to allow some leaks. Because I think he knows he's in a situation where he needs to keep the fans.
Well, there are a lot of people who will not even bother subscribing to Disney Plus unless they fix this. And frankly, those Marvel shows haven't been helping either from just what I've heard about them.
They have not.
Okay.
There has been a lot of positive PR about Feige, but that is starting to waver.
Yeah.
It really is.
They have to start steering that ship.
But folks, let me say this. There have been many people that I have heard, even people in our own community, who have claimed that these radicals in Hollywood, they don't care about the money. All they care about is getting their message out. And that's true.
Some don't. I would argue
Kathleen Kennedy's and the what's the Weinstein assistant that's now working with her, Leslie Headland. Those people, they don't care about whether or not Star Wars succeeds or not, because they make their money regardless.
Well, I'm even thinking of the new Superman writer.
Yeah,
that's another
Ding-a-Batty Colts. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
These people do not care because they're under contract and they make money whether or not they produce or not. I mean, they have to put out a product, but if that product fails, they make the same money either way. But I'm telling you right now, that only lasts for so long. I don't know if I recommend you go ahead and Google this up if you don't know anything about it. But the Peter Principle, okay? Have you ever heard of the Peter Principle, Age of Boomer?
I don't think so. Peter Principle. I can Google it.
It's a business concept that's it's the idea that in management, in leadership, you rise to the level of your incompetence and then it stops. Okay. So, I go and I interview for a job and I get the job and I talk a good game and I convince everybody around me that I know what I'm talking about. And then I start to do the job and I do okay at the level that I enter at. And I get a promotion because everyone's real positive about me and I've got a great history and I've got a great resume. And then at my next level, I have no flipping clue what I'm doing and I screw up royally. Don't look for me to get another promotion. I'm done. I may even end up getting fired. That's the Peter principle. And this is what I'm talking about with someone like Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy has a great resume. When Kathleen Kennedy was first announced as being in charge of Lucasfilm, almost all of us, including myself, looked at her resume and said, oh, look, she's worked with Lucas. She's worked with Spielberg, right? She's worked with Zemeckis. She produced all of my favorite films of the 70s, the 80s, the 90s.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it seemed, from our perspective, it seems, okay, she seems like a natural fit because she's been with them every step of the way. Okay, she was on all those productions, right?
And then she takes over Lucasfilm, right? And it's very clear to anyone really paying attention who understands the business. Okay, and let me explain this. She oversaw the 3 sequel trilogies, Rogue One, Solo, a Star Wars story. Let's just look at Star Wars, Solo, a Star Wars story.
Okay.
The film was well into production before she fired the director, fired the lead actor, recast it, and had to start basically from scratch.
Oh, yeah.
So she's already doubled the production cost. That is career ending in Hollywood.
This also goes back to, that wasn't the only movie, though. A Rogue One had massive reshoots as well, did it not?
That's right.
As
Rogue
I'm recalling,
One,
yeah.
of course, is considered by the fans to be the success of Disney Star Wars.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it had so many bad false starts with her not paying attention and waiting too long into it to make corrections. I don't know if it made money or not. But here's what it comes down to, people. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the Raylos who tell you, oh, yeah, the Disney Star Wars has made money because, you know, it cost this much money to make the movie and it made this much money. Therefore, it's a profit. That's not how Hollywood works, people. What's that meme? That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Mm-hmm. Okay? It's not just the cost to make the movie. It's the cost to make the movie. It's the cost of merchandising. It's the cost of distribution. There's a lot of cost beyond the simple, you know, pay the actors and pay all the people that you see in the closing credits.
Well, the point is that Star Wars is basically you buy it, it's supposed to print money, okay?
That was the whole idea when Disney acquired Lucasfilm. They bought a golden goose and they wanted to just sit with their hands below that goose's ass and wait for the golden eggs to pop out. And unfortunately, Kathleen Kennedy decided to start feeding this goose all kinds of weird shit so it would stop producing golden eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere along the way, somebody said, that's it, you're done. And that's it, you know? So I don't know, guys.
I have a question for you. I mean, maybe I don't want to get too off topic. Who was Star Wars really targeted as more so than anything else? I mean, it can be enjoyed by all ages, but I remember it was a big thing for kids when you and I were growing up, right?
It was, but let's face it. Looking back on it in retrospect, it definitely speaks to adults. It's got a lot of political commentary.
Oh, sure. No.
Deep themes. I would argue it's a family film.
it's a family feature. I mean, there are a lot of movies back then that were considered family features, but I'm wondering
And
too,
is that not good business? Get the kids, get them buying the toys, all the marketing, but also kind of hook the adults too, so that they love it
hook
as well.
the parents in.
Yeah.
Who have no problem buying their kid a toy based on a movie they also really liked. Okay.
And
it's something they can enjoy together.
When The Force Awakens was announced, okay, the original marketing was brilliant. I remember one commercial.
It was the Walmart commercial, I think you're thinking of. Where
I don't remember who it was for.
It was all the different generations talking about Star Wars. Like, you have
no, that's not the one I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
I think it was a Toys R Us commercial. This is back when Toys R Us was still a thing.
Right.
And it was a brother and sister. And they wake up on Christmas morning. And the gift they got waiting for them, both of them, is a lightsaber under the tree. And the brother opens up his and he lightsaber. And the mother says, your sister needs you. And he gets into an imaginary battle with stormtroopers, and C-3PO and R2-D2 are there. And he goes outside, and there she is. And she's being taken away by stormtroopers. And she says, it's about time you got here. And she uses the Force to push the stormtroopers away and break her bonds. And he throws her a lightsaber, and they stand back to back, and they start fighting. And then you see it from the parents' point of view, and they're fighting a bunch of snowmen.
Exactly.
And I was like, this is what is meant to be. This is how you hand off Star Wars to the next generation. And this was the spirit that I went to The Force Awakens with. And then I saw The Force Awakens, and I was like, well, maybe the next movie will be better.
My initial reaction to The Force Awakens is that I thought, they remade A New Hope again. But I think this is them saying, hey, listen, that old Star Wars you knew and loved, maybe you weren't caring for some of the dialogue-heavy prequels, which they were.
There was another great commercial where the father is trying to get his daughter to watch Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And she's not interested, and she's not interested, and she's not interested. And he is so dejected, right? And boy, every one of our generation could totally relate to that. And then they're at the store, and he's looking for his daughter. He goes around the corner. She's in the toy aisle, and she's holding up a lightsaber. And he says, I am your father. Another great commercial, right?
Yeah.
And then again, Force Awakens, and it's like, man, and I get exactly what you're saying, right? It was just a rehash of Star Wars. And I'm going, well, this far down the line, okay. There's the whole Lucas line about, it rhymes, right? So I'm like, okay, I kind of got to expect that. The second movie is going to make all the difference. The second movie, unfortunately, was so effing terrible that it brings the first one down. As a result.
Of course it does. If you don't mind, I want to read a Zootopia comment here. Please. I don't mean to go. The money is in the toys and getting people to the parks, and neither of those things are happening right now. Yes?
Yeah, Zootopia, I appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you for helping me move along, because that was what I was getting to. The money is not in the movie itself. The movie itself is a movie like Joker. Okay, where it made its money on the movie itself. Okay?
It also costs a lot less than Star Wars to make.
And it costs almost nothing.
In comparison to a lot of other Hollywood movies.
Star Wars costs a lot of money. So if it breaks even because of $1 billion, film sales, great. But it's going to make all of its money off of the action figures and the lunchboxes and the t-shirts and, the fan club memberships. And Disney Star Wars has had none of that shit.
Yeah.
All of the marketing they have made has been off of the classic action figure, re-releases of action figures from the original movies, and The Mandalorian. Nothing from the sequel trilogies. Nothing from Solo: A Star Wars Story.
Yeah.
A little bit off of Rogue One. In fact, if anything, I think there's a lot of fans saying you haven't put out enough things from Rogue One. But the reason for that was because they got gun shy because of everything else going on around it in Disney Star Wars.
Now, Rogue One was interesting as I believe it started out as a project that Lucasfilm was originally going to do before getting bought out by Disney. I think it was something that had been in the works for years.
It was a brilliant idea.
Might explain why you have one movie with a slim brunette English accented woman right after another one, because I think that was their plan back then. It would have been unique, but then coming off
what is
of
the huge difference between Rey and
Jyn Erso?
What's the biggest difference between the two?
I get more of a personality from Jyn Erso than I do from Rey.
Well, okay, you spoke to the thing that kind of wins you over in the film. My point was, Jyn Erso died at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
Spoilers for a movie that's been out for how many years now?
Yeah.
There's nobody who's going to say that Jyn Erso was a Mary Sue.
No.
She had a rum go right from the beginning, and it results in her death. And the only reason she's a hero is because she was part of a team that, got the Death Star plans to the rebellion that starts Star Wars. That's it. Whereas Rey is the bestest ever.
I am going to say this about Rogue One. I have issues with that movie, but again, I can not like something and we'll be okay, and other people can like it, and I'm not going to.
I can agree with you.
Point
on
my
that.
finger at them and say no.
Rogue One
I know
better. I mean, it was not any more perfect than say the prequel trilogy,
right?
But
it reminded me of those.
Agree with me that of the Disney era films, it's been the best.
I am going to say this. It did feel like a bridge movie, which was what I thought it was supposed to be. It did some things right. I did like the little Jimmy Smith showing up in there,
and Mon Mothma.
There were neat little cameos that make it seem like okay, it's bringing things from the prequels and also later Star Wars movies. I understood that. What else though? I'm going to say this for Solo, and that Solo likes to be the punching bag, okay? Yeah. And that movie has problems. But I will say, at least from an adventure perspective, it felt the most like the old school Star Wars than anything else Disney put out, okay? Now, I get Rogue One was trying to be more like a war movie, okay?
Yes.
Than like an adventure story. Solo had its problems, and we talked. I know we had that your guest on last week, Stephanie, was talking a bit about that. But
by the way, if you guys aren't subscribing to Stephanie Janicek's Smuggler's Cantina, you're missing out. Go check her out. She's a regular contributor to Midnight's Edge in the stream. And she's got some inside. Actually, this is interesting. And I was mentioning this to Aged Boomer behind the scenes. Kamran Pasha gave her a shout out during the stream today, talking about how he had been communicating back and forth with her. She was a great get for me last week. She really is insider adjacent, so to speak.
Oh, no, she was a great guest. I hope you have her in the future.
Yeah, me too.
It's like normally when you're on streams, I'm trying to, everyone's trying to, get their word in sometimes, and I'm like, shut up, let this woman speak. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
About. I did want to make a point though, and I didn't get to mention this last week, but I think one of the primary reasons why Solo didn't do well, and I know people are going to cite Last Jedi that people are disappointed with that, but I don't think that was really the sole reason. I think it's because in Force Awakens, you have Han Solo being killed in kind of a very nasty way,
yes,
and then brushed off to the side, and then they want me to go and see a movie that celebrates a young Han Solo. I don't really want anything to do with Han Solo after what I just saw with that. Okay,
ridiculously stupid. I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking about the new Black Widow movie. Is that going to do well? Because we just saw her kind of die.
That freaking brilliant idea.
Die unceremoniously too.
It's and that just sets the stage for killing off Luke Skywalker. If Carrie Fisher hadn't died, in real life, were they planning to kill her off in the third movie? And clearly, it's very clear that there was this idea that they could kill off all the the legacy characters, not have to give any extra money to Papa George, and people would love the new stuff and they would move on. And Kathleen Kennedy kept doubling down on that and doubling down on that and doubling down on that.
But if that's what they want to do, this is what I understand. Why not just either set it in the future or further in the past and just have it be a new set of characters, and then maybe Luke Skywalker could be referenced as a great legendary hero or something?
Horribly mismanaged. That's why. That's basically what it comes down to. So bottom line on this point, guys, I've been saying it all along. If you haven't believed me, maybe you're going to start believing me now, especially as you see it coming to fruition. The money wins out. We are winning this war against Disney Star Wars. I am not telling anybody now is the time to go and subscribe to Disney Plus if you're not already. Hold off on that. We're not quite there yet, but I'm seeing it. I'm basically seeing what I predicted being justified every step of the way.
We have an issue too, because it's like, oh, don't subscribe to Disney Plus, and I kind of get that right now, especially now with what's happened. All the streaming services, though, they all have this woke programming, though. Yeah. It's not just Disney Plus. I'm sorry.
Well, and there's a bigger business problem, right?
I mean, I'm trying to think of one that doesn't. Yeah,
and that's you have so many streaming services, you can't subscribe to freaking all of them. Nobody has that kind of money unless you're independently wealthy. So that's what we talk about when we're talking about the streaming wars, right? Who are you going to invest in? Are you going to invest in Hulu? Are you going to invest in Disney? Are you going to invest in Netflix? Who the hell else is there?
And then you have to basically look for these channels. Like, for instance, let's take Netflix, for example. A big show that people loved was Queen's Gambit. I watched Queen's Gambit. It was actually a good show. I will say I don't get all fascinated by chess, but this show made chess interesting, okay? It was a decent series.
There was a show about chess?
There was a show about a young woman who's like a chess prodigy in the 60s. It was based on a book, I think, written in the 1980s, and it wasn't bad.
I would be very interested in this. I was on the chess team in high school.
Oh, you might like this show. Queen's Gambit, if you get Netflix or if you want to find some other means to watch it, I'm just saying. Queen's Gambit. Check it out. You might
check it out. Okay. I see what you did there. Very clever.
Okay. But yeah, okay. Oh, funny checkmate. Yes. No, you learn a lot about chess while watching it too. Like the manners, like kind of manners you have to have during tournaments.
Yep.
Yeah, and they go into that in the show. What was that? What's that?
The en passant is when you have two pawns come up next to each other. En passant means in passing. This move that you can do where you can switch the positions of your pawn with your opponent's pawn. I
don't know, but it wouldn't shock me if it showed up on that.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. Okay. Or the rook or the castling maneuver. I mean, these are things that most people don't know about in chess unless they've been in a tournament. So,
and it was like, I would call it like a historical fiction, because obviously this character didn't exist at that time, but it's like a what if.
I would be surprised though if they don't draw a lot on like Bobby Fischer and things like that.
Yeah, it was. I would check it out if you get a chance. And the point is, though, there's a lot of things that Netflix does that I know. Cuties. Like that Bill Nye series and all sorts of things. And I think there was Dear White People was another one. These are things I have no interest in. Well, but ultimately, someone I know ends up subscribing. And if they have a good series on, like I like the reboot of Unsolved Mysteries. That was a good show they had on there.
Subscription services were smart, right? They would come up with some kind of a way where you could, in quotes, rent a single series or a single movie or whatever and go a la carte. But nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants the subscription. But what ends up happening is I subscribe because I want to see The Mandalorian. Mandalorian's over. Okay, I quit.
I think in the old days, some of these services would put the stuff up on iTunes or maybe Amazon to purchase.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still are. And frankly, it's probably something I should research since I talk about this stuff all the time. But, and I know Netflix, they will release stuff on DVD and Blu-ray, but they usually wait until the new season of that thing is available. Because, of course, they want you to still subscribe. But they will still release the stuff at some point on a physical medium.
But ultimately, it comes down to there's only so much money to go around. There's only so many services you can subscribe to. So if you want to get dominance in the market for your subscription service, you need to have the best, most interesting, current series, and you need to have the best library behind you. And going into all of this, I had said Disney had the greatest potential, but Disney has been shooting itself in the foot left and right. They have been putting out crap. Nobody cares about, nobody cares
Lady
about
in the Tramp, Lady
their
in the
Star
Tramp
Wars. Nobody cares about their the most recent iteration of Marvel and WandaVision and any of that bull crap. The Winter Soldier and the Black Captain America and whatever. Nobody cares about these things.
But one thing,
we also don't have access to all of the Disney library that we could have, right?
I guess there's some things that aren't available on Disney Plus.
And there's so many things that they consider problematic. It's like, you know what? F it. Throw it all up there. If people don't watch it, they don't watch it.
Oh, like the Muppets. We were talking about that a few weeks ago, and it's like, well, why did you buy the Muppets to begin with, though? It's like
and this is what Kamran Pasha was talking about. They make acquisitions because they're golden geese. It's expected that I am buying something that is just a moneymaker. And when somebody in your, strata turns it into crap, it's like, how did you F this up?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you guys, what we've been saying all along, pushing the fans away, the companies are seeing this is bad. This is the exact opposite of why we purchased these franchises in the first place.
Yeah.
We wanted those people, and you just sent them all packing, and you promised us new viewers, and you did not deliver.
I have a question, though. I would say that the problems with Lucasfilm are different than the problems over at Marvel, right? I mean, these are independent organizations that were acquired by Disney, or maybe they've gotten worse since being acquired by Disney, and now the same problems are affecting both. But Marvel was riding strong until the Captain Marvel movie. No one was having a big problem with Marvel at that point. Okay,
I would actually say that at its very core element, it's this SJW radical, theory thing that is what's really killing it. Nobody responds well to it, especially not the fans. This arrogant attitude by the the creators. You're going to like what we tell you to like because Star Wars, because Star Trek, because Marvel, because whatever. And anybody with half an ounce of brains knows that's not going to work. And then sure enough, years down the line, surprise, you're losing money. And calling people isophobes is not, shaming anybody into going to see your POS films, and you're losing money. And I said it a long time ago. It's like the Titanic, a very, very, very big ship with a very tiny pin, very difficult to turn, but it will turn given enough time.
All right.
If it hits the iceberg and sinks, it's done. But if it misses the iceberg, it's going to take a while to turn it around. And all of these properties are starting to realize we need to turn it around or we will hit that damn iceberg. But you're seeing things like, you hear look at Disney with the news that just recently came out about their anti-racial training. That's in quotes optional. Okay. When someone tells you it's anti-racial, okay, it's as racist as you can possibly.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, because it's singling out one race as the problem. Okay.
That's exactly it. And everybody knows it, including for the most part, the protected groups that, they purport to be supporting. I hear from intelligent people in the black community all the time saying, I don't want to be pandered to. This is not good for me. This is actually racist. They're actually talking down to me. It's like, yep, I know that. You know, I mean, Malcolm X was talking about this in the 60s. You know, he predicted all of this, and here it is. Why are you still voting Democrat? Just saying.
Mm.
You know, when Candace Owens says they want to keep you on the plantation, yeah, you might want to really think about what she's saying. It's pretty inflammatory, but it's inflammatory for a reason, because it's kind of true.
Yeah. Oh, someone's addressing you.
Exactly. The groundwork was already done. I will concede that everyone's idea is a little different, but come on, really? Yeah, I mean, exactly. And look, I'm gonna give you a little truth bomb here, okay? We all see this. Fandom is, you're being called ists and phobes, and they're trying to get you to act a certain way, go to see certain movies, believe a certain thing, so because you don't want to be an istophobe, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's not about race. It's not about gender. It's not really about any of those things. You take those labels, and what it really comes down to is it's the modern day proletarians and bourgeoisie. That's what it is. It's all of you istophobes. You're all the bourgeoisie. You don't want to be the bourgeoisie. You want to be the proletariat. Rise up. And I'm sorry, if you're a white male, you're bourgeoisie and there's nothing you can do about it. And if you're going to come out and you're going to, you know, make these comments and you're going to push these agendas, all you're doing is you're pushing yourself out of a job.
Yeah.
Because racism. Seriously.
No, I agree with you. I'm just trying to feel.
William Jackson is absolutely right. This is modern day segregation. They literally are pushing segregation. They are literally pushing racist philosophies and telling you it's anti-racist.
Now, did Disney finally backpedal on that? Because I know we were going to be covering it on Sunday, and I was like, well, because that looked like something out.
And they already started the corporate speak. Well, it was out of context. That's not really what it was about.
Also,
and yet they've removed that training material, and it's not there anymore.
Who came up with the names for these groups? Further, like if I'm a certain race, I have to be a member of Wakanda. I don't. Is that patronizing a bit? I don't know. That's.
I don't know.
They had these different names, and the only group that didn't get a group, I don't know.
I don't see that as any different than the militias that are picking up the Punisher skull as their symbol. It's just people identify with something and they run with it.
Yeah, but they didn't choose that group. The corporation did. Do you understand?
I don't. Well, you're also talking about Wakanda is a suburb of here in Illinois, and you know they're run by politicians, Illinois politicians, i.e. Democrats. So I mean, what does that tell you?
Right.
You know, I mean, they're going to pander. It's pandering, and it's guys, understand how strong a word pandering is. Okay, we dance around words like racist, because that'll get you demonetized if you're monetized on this platform. Pandering is a huge word. It basically means being racist. It really does. It means I am here to protect you because you can't take care of yourself, because you're whatever race you are or whatever gender you are. You don't understand how to take care of yourself. So trust me and I'll take care of you. I'm the savior.
Yeah, but they want us all to be looking at them like that, right?
Yep. It's not just the races, because that's why they keep broadening it. It's intersectionalism. It's how many of these different categories can you fit into?
I'm sure eventually it'll be.
This is where the power comes from. And that's why they call it cultural Marxism. It's no longer about the haves and the have-nots. Now, it really is, but we're going to call it race. We're going to call it gender. We're going to call it identity. But it really is Marxism all over again. And what do they say? Those who refuse to learn from history are destined to repeat it. And if you can't see history repeating itself, you're a fool and you're gonna repeat it.
So all the institutions, though, have seemed to have bought into all this stuff, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, when you have stuff like Disney and Coca-Cola putting this stuff at the forefront in their company things,
and they'll say, you know, all of this is voluntary, and this is a safe space for you to feel free to speak out. Bullshit. You know full well if you express the wrong opinions, you end up on a blacklist where you're going to get fired. You end up like Gina Carano, okay? Because what do? They suppress dissent. Speech is not protected. They use labels to dehumanize you. That's Marxism, my friends.
All right, so
Gamersgate. This is something that I know feel strongly about. Gamersgate is not about feminism, people. It's about corruption in the gaming industry.
Yes.
And specifically the journalists in gaming industry.
Yes.
You have some strong feelings about that, don't you, Boomer?
Look, that was the old look. I'll be blunt. The reason I'm here sitting with you is that I didn't get involved in that when it was going on, but I was aware of what was going on, not what the media was saying. You want to
give maybe a little bit of background for people who don't know what Gamersgate is all about, because that'll give me an opportunity to hit the head real quick. Thanks. What? Is it good show?
Do with it, okay, but she inserted herself into it, and and lickety split years later, basically you can't have sexy women in video games. Okay,
Boomer, let me interrupt you real quick.
Go right ahead, because I don't know if I'm probably botching this. Gamergate's complicated.
I screwed up. No, this was my screw up. I put you on mute. You've been on mute this whole time.
You're kidding me, right?
I am not kidding you, my friend.
Gamergate.
I am so sorry.
They'll all come after me.
It's my fault, everybody. It was not Boomer. If it was quiet for the past few minutes, that was entirely my fault. I am so sorry. But welcome, Melissa Harris. So Agent Boomer, I didn't miss anything that the rest of the stream didn't miss. So I'm sorry. I do need you to kind of go back and give me
it again. Okay. All right. Okay, it started out with an indie developer getting a lot of press attention for her game Depression Quest she was making. It then was evolved that she had relations with a lot of these men. Okay, and we don't have to go into the nature of those relations, but you can probably surmise. Okay.
Yeah.
But the point is that that was another problem with the movement. It got too bogged down in that portion instead of being bogged down in the journalism portion. That, hey, maybe you're being a little biased in giving all this coverage to this woman now that she's your quote unquote, she's a friend. Okay, we'll put it mild. Okay, and
you know what?
Let's,
this is my stream. Just go ahead and put it out there. Some people were sleeping around. Journalists sleeping with people.
Very incestuous. Game developers incestuous. It's a very incestuous thing. You'll find out that also goes on in the American animation industry too. Okay.
Yep.
A lot of seedy stuff going on in there to the point where never mind. I'm not going to get into
no,
that.
No.
Anyway,
you're absolutely right. I mean, and it's. I'll be honest with you. No, the current opinion of journalists in general has never been lower.
But here was the thing. Okay, here's what you do. You apologize. You said we should have disclosed. You can fire a couple of the journalists, okay, and then we all move on. But that's not what happened. Instead, the journalists doubled down and said, gamers don't have to be your audience. And they all write in these anti-gamer articles about how gamers are toxic and all this other stuff. And it's like how they're sexist and they hate women and all this stuff. And then, of course, I think Milo Yiannopoulos at the time, when he was working for Breitbart, he did some digging on this and he discovered, oh, wait a minute, they all got, all these journalists know each other. Okay.
Wait a minute. Samuel Proctor. First, let me welcome you to the stream, Samuel Proctor. He says, I just got on and the first thing I hear is incest. What's going on?
Incestuous. It's a word. I don't know. Maybe not the right word. The point is that
it's absolutely appropriate.
Okay.
He doesn't mean what you think it means.
Well, we're
talking about in an industry where people are. He means in a non-sexual. Well, no, I guess you don't really mean it in a non-sexual way either, do you?
The point is this. Okay, I don't
talked myself into a corner.
What she and these other people were doing in the bedroom, that's their business. I don't really want to know about it. But the point is, what did matter is that you could argue that favors are being traded based on some sort of form of maybe nepotism or something. Okay, and they needed to be disclosing if this person, I know this person, they're a friend. Okay, and most journalists in the past would do this. I know this person. We know each other. So I'm disclosing that first.
Let's kind of cut right to the chase on this.
But this is when okay, go ahead.
Does anybody in the gaming community give a flying fuck what Sarkeesian has to say?
Okay, well, let's bring up Anita Sarkeesian because people typically say she was involved in Gamergate. She involved herself after it had happened. She started going on tours with Zoe when the game over in question. Okay. But initially it wasn't. They were probably annoyed with the journalists constantly pushing Anita Sarkeesian's talking points about how, trying to teach, all the SJW stuff, and criticizing the games. The games, I don't think the gamers were fans of that. But that wasn't initially the thing that happened. I think they already didn't like the gaming journalists because of that. And then this bomb happens, okay? And then suddenly the journalists all start coming after us. And then eventually what happens is, at first the corporations were siding with the gamers, and then like Intel was, and they were advertising the gaming sites. But then they doubled down and said, "Oh, this is a women hate campaign. They hate women," and and then it turned into this whole thing. You're an istophobe and all this stuff, right. And then it all spiraled out of control, and the fight just kept happening over and over and over again. But I will argue that this was the first time where the SJWs tried inserting themselves into a hobby where they actually got active resistance. Okay. Yeah. Tabletop gaming, they went in there, no active resistance, science fiction.
That makes it initially books, easy for them to say, well, look, this whole community is a bunch of, well, not in this case, not racist, is all sexist.
Yeah.
And
hates women,
misogynist, whatever. Collective group says, we don't give a flying fuck what you think. Go to hell. And anybody who's not part of the community, who gives a fuck what they think?
Yeah. What I didn't like about Anita Sarkeesian is that Anita Sarkeesian attacks older games and attacks things. Oh, this is sexist or whatever. Do you remember Mary Whitehouse from the 80s?
I don't even recognize that name. I'm sorry.
Mary Whitehouse was a British critic. She would go after Doctor Who a lot for the violence. Okay. She would go after horror movies.
Really?
In
Britain. Okay. I didn't know about this.
Who was the guy, the big guy, who was after, Dr. Frederick Wortham. He was the guy that went after American comics in the 1950s. Okay, what these are moral panics. Okay,
moral panic.
Sometimes it's over violence and stuff. In the case of gaming, it's over gamers are sexist, and it's turning young boys into future sexists and all this stuff. Look at the way the women are portrayed in these games, and feminine and all this, and it basically. It really ruined the hobby. Now, basically, most Western games, you will not see a sexy woman in a Western-made video game at all anymore. That's gone. Okay, you will still see them sometimes in Japan, but sometimes they'll get blocked from coming over here, or the Japanese developer has to censor. That's what Sony was doing. So things are kind of a mess.
Let me interject something, Boomer. Again, I'm going to say the dollar wins out, right? Because look at what's happening to comics. Look at what's happening in gaming. People are not buying. Sex still sells, and if the SJWs want to bemoan that, you can do that all you want, but you're ignoring reality. Okay, I don't care what gender you are. I don't care what gender you like. If you are a sexual being, you like something, and you want to see it. And you will buy it.
Here's what it is. I know there was a complaint in the past by people that there are zombie buyers that they'll just keep going out and buying the new Call of Duty each year,
but they're not enough to keep a title going.
I don't know. Like I know that when EA did that terrible Battlefield game where you had like women with like cyborg arms fighting in World War II or whatever, and it was like the most ridiculous thing ever. Well, that's what people said. And they said no, and that did terribly. But it's never enough to send any of these companies under. They always figure out a way to bounce back. Like they'll release something else that people actually want to play, and that'll bounce them back.
Yeah.
Not all companies. Some companies they go middle of the road. Like Nintendo basically just sticks to their set characters and their set formula. And they're a Japanese company, so they're not. They did have a problem, though. Even Nintendo had a problem years ago. We got some bad localizations during the Wii U era because you had people over there that didn't like the stuff in the Japanese version, so they would censor costumes. They put the kibosh on that. So I guess like things over in the Japanese level are being made so they don't end up getting
made with love?
Censored.
I'm sorry. Netter just brought me a big bowl of popcorn.
Popcorn's
made with
nice.
love.
Popcorn made with love is
that
nice.
Makes it taste better.
I don't have any popcorn made with love. I have gaming inside this, but here's the thing. Gaming's a problem though. I'm telling you, over at PlayStation, the entire thing is SJW. They've given up on the Japanese market. They're not even trying to cater to it anymore, which is funny because Sony was a big Japanese company at one point, but they moved their headquarters to guess where? California. Oh, Microsoft is kind of middle of the road. They did block one game from coming out. It was a Galgun remake, which they said no, where I guess you're shooting your love gun at teenage girls or something, or young women.
Okay, in fairness,
no, but it's not like it's like hearts. You're shooting hearts at them, and you could argue, well, but the point is, here's the thing in gaming: we have this thing called the ESRB. Okay, they're a ratings organization. Okay,
right.
If a game can come out and it could be M-rated,
that started in the 80s, didn't it?
It started in the late 90s. Okay.
Oh,
okay. And basically,
I have bad temporal depth perception because I'm so fucking old.
No, it's okay. My point is that when games like Mortal Kombat came out, people were yelling about it. So the compromise was we have the ESRB and we're going to start putting ratings on games. So your game might get an M rating, which means it can't be sold to a minor without a parent or guardian.
Ironically, you can blame the conservatives for that.
Well, the conservatives. It was also Senator Joseph Lieberman.
Well, I'm just bringing that up because I want to make the point that now the conservatives are much more relaxed about this kind of stuff, and it's the far left that gets all bent out of shape.
Well, to be fair, even back then, it was coming from all sides. It wasn't just the conservatives. People like Tipper Gore and the music label warnings, and Senator Joseph Lieberman was the big pushing for that. He was, of course, I'll even say he at least had a point that. He at least admitted with the ESRB, at least the gaming industry was
again. It's a bunch of people that have no idea what they're talking about.
Okay,
that are legislating about.
But the point is that the ESRB, it's a ratings like we have ratings for movies. Fine, okay. Yep. This is the R-rated version. This is the teen-rated version. It's basically like
voluntary
the movie
by
ratings.
The industry. Am I right?
Voluntary by the industry, right. But I think stores had to abide. Like if you worked at a retail outfit, some kid comes in, you sell them Grand Theft Auto for M-rated game, you could get fired for that. Okay, so don't do that. But like that's like the stores, I think, doing that.
Let me tell you, I've never played a game of Grand Theft Auto, but I've seen a lot of videos about it.
Yeah,
enough to know that all the hoopla about it was a bunch of BS.
It's a comedy. I mean, it's
kind of is. Yeah,
I mean, should be playing
there's
it,
nothing
but
worse
it's a comedy
in these games than in most of the movies and even TV that they have these days.
Oh, I know.
There's no actual nudity. There's no, I mean, the violence is no worse than most PG-13 films.
But the issue we have.
But again, the people that are using Grand Theft Auto for legislation reasons have never actually even played the game, have never even seen a playthrough of these games. They don't know. All they know is what somebody told them.
Yeah. But the issue we're dealing now with those is like everything else, a lot of these companies, at least the Western companies, getting woke. Okay. Like they got woke over at Sony and they're trying to, push these things to some degree in games. It's harder with games though than I think other medium though, because ultimately what makes a game sell is not even so much the narrative, it's how it plays. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm rambling on, I'm probably rambling on a bit,
that's
but
fine.
The point is Sony's been completely taken over. Okay.
But what it comes down to is you have a situation where the journalists are in bed figuratively and literally with the players involved, and it becomes a big freaking mess where they're pushing a narrative that has nothing to do with reality. It's the same in politics. It's now the same in gaming. It's the same across the board. And it comes back to the same thing that I was talking about before, this idea that there are these ideologues. It used to be, the left used to point at the religious right and say, they're the ideologues. They want to push their religion on you. They want to push their, agendas on you. And they're trying to, that's bad and that's wrong. Well, now they've become the ideologues, and they want to subjugate you and stifle any kind of conversation because, that's wrong think. And if you don't believe what we believe, you don't deserve to have a job and you don't deserve to work in the community. You certainly don't deserve to be on social media. And we kind of don't care if you die. I mean, there
terrifying.
Are people on social media actually saying stuff like that. I am not, being hyperbolic here.
Oh no, it's terrifying out there. They will come after you. They will try to ruin your life.
They
will call your employer.
The ists and the phobes of today are the bourgeoisie, and the intersectionalists are the modern day proletariats. I again am not being hyperbolic. That really is the situation that we find ourselves in today, my friends.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand those terms, by all means, Google them up.
I am at the point too where I really don't want to be giving a lot of money to a lot of these companies. Okay.
Right.
I will still give money to Nintendo because I feel that they seem more neutral to me. Now that could change, and hopefully that won't change. But for now, if I buy the latest Super Mario game or latest Zelda game, are they really trying to push an agenda in that? No, they're just have a good time. What companies like Disney used to do. Okay, like this is for everybody. We're not really trying to push politics. I mean, I don't know what happened over there. You can go see a Captain America movie or an Iron Man movie. It didn't matter what your political persuasion was. Just go sit down, enjoy, have some popcorn. That was it. And now I don't know what's going on. In fact, part of me wondered, even with the new Marvel slate, are they saving all the political junk for the awful TV shows and the movies will be left alone? I don't know. I have a suspicion no, but we'll see. There.
Welcome, Wolfie. I see that you just joined us. Thank you for
look at this though.
Here.
I like Sam Proctor's comment. It's not about the money; it's about sending the message. Burns a full thing of money behind them. That's what sort of reminded me of some of these people.
I will repeat what I said earlier, that because you weren't here earlier, then that's fine.
Yeah.
And that's. You're absolutely right. The Kathleen Kennedys of the world and the Leslie Headlands of the world, they and who's that black Superman guy? The Ted
Coates,
kind of fuck
Mr.
his head Coates.
Mr. Coates.
These people don't care because they are under contract and they make money whether or not the product that they put out makes money or not.
Well, this was another thing I'm scared, especially in the consideration of that last person you mentioned. Are they making a lot of money, or is it cheaper to hire an activist than it is to hire a creative writer or someone who has a lot of pedigree behind them, like a real artist? Is it cheaper to hire an activist? But then the activist isn't there to make money. The activist is there to burn the thing down. Okay, you know.
Let
Do you
me
understand
real
what I'm
quick
saying?
also say hi to Leia Plus Size. I'm sorry I missed her. I don't know. Did a show just end that Leia Plus Size and Wolf Den Media just joined us? But it doesn't
Possibly.
matter. I'm glad you're here.
Melissa Harris,
I did say hi to Melissa Harris earlier if she didn't hear me. Thank you so much for being here. But ultimately, you know, this is what it comes down to. We're talking about people that make their money because this is what they're paid. You know, this isn't exactly the case, but so people understand their salary. Okay. They make the same money either way. Okay. But if they don't produce, they get fired eventually, but it may take a while before the powers that be realize they're not making money. Right. And there's contracts that keep them in place beyond, you know, their usefulness. So, you know, but the companies still ultimately care about money over anything else, because without that money, they go out of business. They're done. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is you have, and I'm just going to call it the way I see it. You have very stupid people in this country that listen to other very stupid people that just happen to have big platforms.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And believe them and worship them and say amen. I'm talking, for example, about Sarah Blackface Silverman, who has the nerve to come out and call Caitlyn Jenner transphobic. Does anyone see the disconnect there?
Yeah, especially considering, that's insane to me.
Caitlyn Jenner is transgendered.
It's because if you don't toe the party line 100%, and if you step out of line, if you're a transgender person and you say something that like
Sarah
against
Silverman is a cis white woman. She has no business even talking about this stuff. Shut the fuck up.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Let people speak for themselves. Who the hell do you think you are, Ms. White Savior?
I don't know. I mean, we're going to see how is California.
And I'm pushing a racial thing because she's the one who, you know, has so much to say, and yet she's had no problem doing blackface in the past.
What the heck has Sarah Silverman been in lately? I'm trying to think.
Don't know. Don't care. I mean, this is the sad thing about her. You know, she's an attractive enough woman. She could be very, and some of the stuff I've seen her in, very, very funny. But, you know, I honestly don't want to see anything she's in because I can't stand her at this point.
Well, I think
she's a freaking cunt. I don't use that word lightly because that's the word she used specifically for Caitlyn Jenner.
I think
when you point the finger, you got three others pointing right back at you. I
think Hollywood in general has been
let me real quick greet Swinedog 712. Don't recognize the name, but so glad to have you here. And you're absolutely right. Sarah Silverman was funny a long time ago. Let me tell you, the other thing about her, I'll be honest, you know, booze makes you truthful. She's attractive enough.
Right.
And for a woman that can't keep her clothes on, obviously there's something beneficial about her, but she needs to really shut her freaking mouth because that pretty much outweighs everything else.
Wolfton Muni says activisms are about deconstruction and nothing more beyond that. They can think, what now after that? They are people who don't know how to build anything. Yeah, they're not building anything. I've been noticing this. I keep thinking, because part of me keeps wondering, okay, they're trying to replace the characters we love with these other characters, but none of them are taking. Rey didn't take off after Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, let me speak to that. And thank you, Wolfie, for bringing this up. That brings me to another point that I did want to speak about tonight. And that's this whole idea of having to deconstruct everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, basically destroy everything. And it's a form of rewriting history. It really is. I'm going to hold up the Whammon Ghostbusters as an example.
Oh,
Bill Murray gets, his demise, and what's her name? Big Mouth says he wasn't Ghostbuster material. Well, fuck you very much.
Did that happen in the movie?
Yes, it did.
Oh no.
And that comment did not age well, because guess what? All the classic Ghostbusters are coming back, and you people lost fucking money and are laughing stocks.
I have a question. Did Bill Murray even know his character died when he was shooting that scene, or was it a...
he was contractually obligated. He didn't have a choice, and he was pissed about it. That's why he almost didn't come back for this other Ghostbusters movie.
I don't blame him there. Jeez.
I don't either. I honestly do not either. But Dan Aykroyd talked him into it. He said, look, I'm in charge here, and it's going to be our Ghostbusters. And he finally convinced him. Yeah. And this is what I'm talking about, people. It's all coming back. The stuff that makes money is all coming back.
So let's talk about this in relation to Ghostbusters. Okay. They make that Ghostbusters movie everybody can't stand. Okay. All right. But now we have Ghostbusters Afterlife coming out. It's the son of Ivan Reitman, I think, is directing it, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think they're trying to send a message, maybe, hey, maybe we messed up. We're going to try to make a good movie. So what do we do if they actually do make a good Ghostbusters movie? What should we do?
You should freaking go see it.
Okay.
You should go see it in costume if that's your thing. That's what Netter and I are going to do.
Because
you should buy the toys. You should buy the books. You should whatever. Show them appreciation for making the Ghostbusters you were waiting for. As much as Ghostbusters Answer the Call failed, we need to make the actual Ghostbusters succeed. See, this is what I keep saying. It doesn't help to keep boycotting stuff. Okay. You also have to, anybody who understands classic conditioning, right? It's not enough to just punish. You also have to reward so that the person you're conditioning learns what is good, right? And we are conditioning Hollywood by withholding our money from this SJW bullshit. They're learning, okay, they don't want this. But when they put out something like The Mandalorian, like the new Ghostbusters movie that's coming out and so forth, Sonic the Hedgehog, whatever, you got to support that. God bless you, Netter, because that tells them, let's do more of this.
I have a question, though, because I think what happens, though, what will ultimately happen is that these things don't do well when they're woke, which they shouldn't. But if they also don't do well, if they course correct, then they'll just say people aren't into these things anymore. Like, I'm terrified about what's going to happen with Superman, because I just wonder if anybody's ever going to come back to Superman after what they're planning to do to it is going to happen. Maybe they'll just abandon it. And even if they do try to course correct, will anybody care?
And the 11 people watching right now, listen very carefully to what I say. I've been right all along. There's no reason to believe I would be wrong on this.
All right.
I believe that the iconic Superman is speaking to something on a very visceral level for us. Okay. When you talk about the hero's journey, when you talk about archetypes, okay, that doesn't go away. And we will always respond to iconic heroes. If they were to bring back the iconic Superman, people would respond. It will always be. There is no way to destroy that.
Well, I hope you're right. Maybe I've become too cynical. I just worry that characters can also
people will be
fade
slow
away.
to respond. They will be doubtful, but I guarantee you, they did an iconic Superman movie, and some people went to see it, and they came out of the theater and started doing YouTube videos and saying, "Yep, the classic iconic Superman is back." You better believe people would respond to that.
All right. So let's see. Anyone in the chat saying anything?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Wolfie. You've been hollering my name. Let me see what you're saying here. Nor do they want to rebuild. They just want to sit down all day and let everyone they ruin to rebuild. They want someone else to do it so they can take credit. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Samuel Proctor at this point have given up on Hollywood forever. There's a new film industry rising in the East. I'll take my money there. Samuel Proctor, I understand your sentiment. I am not going to try and talk you out of it, but I would suggest this. Keep an eye on Hollywood and don't be afraid to return to the individual films and franchises if they turn around. Okay. Again, positively reinforce the good and withhold your money from the bad. That's the only way that they learn.
He brings up a point, though, that I want to bring up. I think one of the problems is for a while, Hollywood has not had real competition. If you go back and look at movies, and I keep going back to this period, I love the movies of the 60s and 70s, okay? Because you had movies being made all around the world, okay? Not just in Hollywood, or even all around in the United States. You'd have independent features being made, and then they would maybe be picked up by Hollywood to distribute. For instance, and we still have that going on today. Kingsman, for example, is independently made, but 20th Century Fox used to put it out, okay? So Hollywood definitely needs competitions. It needs competition. And you know what country for a while I thought would be the big competitor for Hollywood at some point? That was on the rise? China. And then the CCP decided we need to get involved in the movie making business, and everything fell apart. They were putting out some great operatic, also comedic kung fu movies back in the 2000s. I would love seeing these things on the big screen.
This is the biggest problem,
and it was so sad. And I think it's because they got involved, because I think that was mainly a Hong Kong thing, and they would make these movies. And now it's just
there's been a lot of talk about how Disney in particular, but Hollywood in general, has been trying to cater to China, and China is like, we have our own movie industry. We don't need you to make movies for us. Just make your movies, because every time they make a Mulan or they make a Shang-Chi or anything like that, all you do is offend China.
You know what movie they loved over in China?
What?
Alita Battle Angel.
Yeah.
Shocker.
That was a big hit over there, and I almost feel that it might have been a hit over there if it hadn't been for the stinking press, which I believe at the time was owned by Disney, and this was before they bought out Fox. And I think they kept saying, Alita Battle Angel set to not do well at the box office. And they kept saying that. And I understood the strategy here. If you tell someone a movie is going to bomb at the box office, you are going to be less inclined to go see it. And don't ask me what that means to even the quality of the movie. It means nothing.
Depends on who says it, though. Okay. If
they were all saying it.
If it's critics that say it, nobody's even listening anymore. But if people in your own community say it, then absolutely. In your own community, you have a lot of sway, because I'll be honest with you, I will go see a movie that I'm not inclined to see, but if Aged Boomer says see it, yeah, I'll probably go check it out.
Oh, well, I may. Well,
You know?
oh, I got to be careful then. What I
Real
recommend.
quick, I want to comment on Swine Dog 712. He makes a point that I really wanted to speak to. Identity swaps are literally the only idea
Yep.
social justice warriors have.
Yep.
Let me tell you something. It's also the biggest pandering I've ever seen. And I'm seeing it more and more. Okay. If you just swap a gender, if you just swap a race, all you're doing is you're telling that gender or that race, you're not good enough to have a character of your own. What we're going to do is we're going to swap you in for someone who's already done all the work for you. That's pandering. That's
all they do now. That's all they do now.
That is racist and sexist. That is why this Ta-Nehisi Coates Superman is going to fail. That's why all the women power films have failed. On top of the fact that these people don't know how to tell a decent story, because heaven forbid we should let our heroes go through some stuff.
Well,
to have an interesting story.
Alita was, I could quote, a woman power movie, but of course she was also a feminine character. Okay,
yeah.
You were on the side of Alita, and I think that the actress that played her made a point that are you inspiring to young girls? I like to think I'd be inspiring to everybody that wants to look up to a hero.
Right?
You know, that was her. She had the right attitude for that role. And
how many times have I heard people say, you know, I don't need to see myself on the screen to be inspired by that character. Okay.
No.
You know, I don't need.
I'm a redhead. I don't see myself on the screen.
Every single movie I see, I want to identify with the hero, whether it's male or female, black, white, Asian, something else, straight, gay, whatever. I want to identify with that hero. I may not be able to relate to a racial thing or a gender thing or a preference thing, because that's a difference that we have, but I want to relate to the heroic aspect, to the struggle and the journey that this character is on. You know, I mean, heaven forbid. And let me tell you something. It's like I keep saying, and like so many other people have been saying, I don't want my hero to be some overweight, balding 50-year-old guy. I would prefer to dream and imagine that I am Hemsworth or, you know,
or Hugh Jackman,
Hugh Jackman,
or you know,
oh gosh, Hugh Jackman, right? He and I are like right about the same age. Am I right?
Yeah, you know why I respect Hugh Jackman. If I don't mean to interrupt, okay, he was training to play Wolverine in the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie. Now, there are issues of that movie, but I respect him in that role, and I'll explain why. He was being interviewed for the thing, and he was saying, "Oh, it's really tough. I was having to work out for this role, and there were days I wanted to give up." And then he thought, "But what would Wolverine be doing right now? Would Wolverine be pushing through?" And he said, "Yes. So you better push through."
Yeah.
As opposed to other actors who don't want to work out for the superhero parts, but we won't name who they are right now in this stream. Okay. But the point is, I really respected Hugh Jackman for doing that. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Wolfie says, it's kind of like the grasshopper and the ants. Sit all day while we work and then try to get busy during the winter. You know, look, I'm just going to call it like I see it. There's been this debate about affirmative action for a long time. And I have heard some great, well, I mean, look at, Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas has talked about affirmative action, and he's basically said, look, I don't want my success to be diminished by my skin color, by someone being able to say, well, you only got where you are because of your skin color.
You want to get in based on merit.
Yeah. You want to be able to say, look, and let me tell you, Clarence Thomas is someone I greatly admire. Probably above most of the justices in the Supreme Court right now. Okay. I mean, he is intelligent, thoughtful. I don't know how else to say it. Someone I greatly admire. Okay. And it has nothing to do with his color. You know, I don't even think about that. But it becomes a point when people keep bringing it up. And it's these people that keep bringing it up that, damn it, they're the racists. Because they want to keep it in the forefront of your mind.
Oh, yeah. They want China's money back. Yeah, well.
That's ironic, William Jackson, because unfortunately, the more they try to chase that China money, the more they push it away. Because they just don't understand what China wants and doesn't want.
China wants American movies.
China doesn't want to be pandered to.
It's just like how
Mulan. I'll tell you, Mulan offended the hell out of China.
Yeah.
Because you got a bunch of white people writing Chinese films about Chinese history, completely inaccurate. They may as well have yellow-faced the movie for all that they did to that movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I just had no desire to either. Oh, Nicholas Mele says movies these days are bad. Part of the problem is too with movies is that the industry it started out last year. We get theatrical releases, and what have we really gotten? And I would argue the last couple great movies I saw were 1917, the World War I movie, and Ford versus Ferrari. I love that, and I don't know. It seems like I haven't seen anything more recently. Grey Wolf was actually a Greyhound. Greyhound wasn't bad. That World War II movie.
I want to comment on Leia Plus Size comment here. She says that is why Hugh Jackman was great as Logan. He understood and respected his character. Most actors don't do that. Look, there's two kinds of actors the way I see it. Okay. There is the method actor who really gets into his character. Who is my character? What is his motivation? And really, spends time on it, researches it, whatever. And then you got these assholes who think who the hell they are. And it's like, I don't care what people have done with this character in the past. It's my own now. It's about me. And that's where it all falls apart. Okay. I'm looking at the new sparkly Batman, for example. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's
by comparison
that's what I was
to
alluding
Hugh Jackman.
to.
Okay.
But Swine, sorry, had a message for you too. Hold on, let me find it for you. Swine Dog. Oh.
Let me see. Swine Dog.
I'll just read you what he said.
Yeah.
First time I ever seen this channel. I'm sub. Thanks, guys. But he has to go. See you later. But anyway.
Oh, so sorry. I hope I didn't miss you. I do want to
That's okay. He'll be back. He said
before they leave.
He said he'll be back though. So it's cool.
I really do hope so. So those of you that are still here, those 10 that are watching, you might not have been here at the beginning, but I do want to reiterate something that I mentioned at the top of the show. And that's if you're a Star Wars fan, specifically an EU fan, you're going to want to tune in next week because I want to give away my copy of The Heart of the Jedi by Kenneth C. Flint. This book was released for just a couple of days last week. It was originally written in 92. It was meant to be published. It never was. And somehow there's some speculation about what happened in the background there, but somehow it came out on Amazon briefly and was only available for a couple of days and then was gone. And right now it's going for on eBay starting bids. Lowest starting bid is $100. Buy it now is as high as $600. I'm going to give away a copy of that to somebody who joins my stream next week. Okay. So hopefully you will be back next week. Tell your friends if you're not real into the Star Wars EU, maybe they want to come listen to my show next week.
Oh, you had a Wolfton comment you were going to read. Sorry.
Was this it?
Nope, the one above it.
Thomas Sowell said affirmative action has done nothing for us black folk. Actually, I would say it's worse than that. It's actually hurt more than it's helped. And I don't think I even have to explain that to you, Wolfie. It really does, because every success you have under affirmative action falls under the taint of, well, you got it because you're a token, right? And so you never you can never be good enough to overcome the stigma of the affirmative action. It does not help you at all. I mean, I look at, well, first you look at what Malcolm X said about the white liberal. Okay. I mean, and we're seeing it play out today.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, look at what Martin Luther King said, right? He dreamt of a world where we don't see color. And we were so close. We were there. We were getting there.
We were getting there.
Where I did not judge people by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. And now I see all the media around me telling me, no, that's not what we want. We want you to absolutely judge people by the color of their skin and their gender and who they choose to love and all of these other things that should not matter to anybody else.
I think what the media wants
is for us equality. They want equity. That's the problem.
I think the media wants us to be divided too. That's what I've been getting that impression. Think about it.
The power brokers do too. The politicians.
Yeah, well, maybe they're the ones guiding all this. Yeah.
But even worse than that, our enemies want us divided. That's just obvious. So the fact that you have factions here in the United States, our politicians, our leaders trying to divide us, what the fuck is your problem? You're playing right into our enemies' hands, you assholes.
Well, we're going to learn the lesson the hard way if things don't turn around.
Absolutely. You know, and part of me loves this community of people that I interact with on YouTube and, you know, the social media and whatnot, because I don't even see what color your skin is. And I get to know you before I didn't know Wolf 10 Media was black until we got to talking and he goes, you know, I'm black, right? No, I didn't. Doesn't matter. But that is an interesting, you know, perspective.
You didn't know I was a ginger. I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I keep forgetting that actually, you know? I don't know. Well, I mean,
I was just kidding.
The only reason I know Leia plus size is black is because she's actually got a picture of herself there. You know, not everyone does that, you know, and I can see it. And very lovely black woman. In fact, don't me too me. I'm just paying you a compliment, Leia plus size. Netter is sitting right here, and I'm sure she would agree with me that Leia plus size is absolutely lovely, and I'm not hitting on her.
Okay.
She's gorgeous.
Right?
Yes, there you go. Okay.
See? So, okay. Just wanted to clear that up for everybody.
How you doing, Netter? You didn't make me any popcorn.
Well, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to push it through the microphone to you?
You know what? You could. Hey, could you like teleport it like on Star Trek? And would it be like
Wouldn't
the fly where it
awesome?
comes out inside out?
I don't know though. I mean, from what I get from Next Generation, they give the impression that anything that's replicated isn't really as good as, you know, fresh stuff. I don't know. I don't know the technology behind it.
Yeah, the Maquis didn't like eating replicated food. That was one thing they were getting against.
I think that's adorable. Yeah. She says, Troy, thank you, Troy, and Nettie. No, I don't think anyone's ever called you Nettie, have they? That's cute.
Just her. That's her name for me.
That's adorable. Cool. I love that.
See, I always say hi, Nanette. I like the Nanette. Okay.
Yeah. Her friends call her Netter, but
maybe that's because Al always says no. You know, he always says that. No popcorn for me. Yeah, what else is new?
Lovely Lady of Valor. Oh, I like that. I'll have to remember that.
But
that is a great title, Valor. That is a term that is not in our lexicon enough these days.
Maybe because so few people have it.
Valor is the intersection, in my opinion, valor is the intersection of honor and bravery.
Yep. What deeds of valor have you done for me this year? That was from Sword of the Valiant. It was when King Arthur is looking at the court and he's fed up with them. He's saying, you guys haven't done anything all year. You're not going to get the feast until I get one tale of heroism.
What have you done for me lately?
What are you saying? We haven't gotten tales of heroism. He's mad. And, you know.
Well, and you can't have tales of heroism. You can't have heroism if there's no risk, right?
Yeah.
And when you have characters like Captain Marvel, okay, And I would argue this, speaking of Captain Marvel, they want to hold up Captain Marvel as this feminist icon, right? My assertion is that Captain Marvel is anti-feminist. Okay? For some reason, that second wave feminists were opposed to the Disney-fied happy ending of fairy tales. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Back in the 70s and the 80s and even into the 90s, this whole idea of taking fairy tales that usually had very tragic endings and were very serious stories and turning them into these happy, type stories. The feminists had a real problem with that. Why? Because it was sending a bad message to girls. Now, we all poo-pooed that back in the 70s and 80s, right? It's like, you feminists, you don't know what you're talking about. In retrospect, they were absolutely right. It sends a bad message to women. You need to expect more. You can't expect Prince Charming to come along and save you. You need to be an independent woman yourself first. Then find a man who respects you. Okay? And I'm only saying that because I happen to have a relationship where my wife is my equal, and we have different responsibilities based on our respective abilities,
Right.
but we respect each other. If you don't have respect, you don't have love. You just don't.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I would say the second wave feminists were absolutely right about what Disney was doing with their female characters back then. But now the perfect woman to Disney and Marvel is just a man with boobs.
Yeah,
okay.
Didn't the artist behind Captain Marvel say it's Chuck Yeager as a woman? That's what she said. That's what she was thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Nanette sent me something. She sent me an article how to make better than movie theater popcorn at home. Thank you, Nanette.
Oh, there you go. Absolutely. But
theater chain popcorn, it depends on the theater you go to. Sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's not so good.
Huge compliment, Wolfie. I call you like I call the Kents, Ma and Papa Pacelli. That is sweet. I super, super appreciate it. And that's why Papa Pacelli is, the tagline I use on all the thumbnails.
Yeah. Don't forget, we got at least, 108 more episodes of Smallville to watch, or however many. No, probably more than that. Hold on.
Leia Plus Size is giving me a pass this time around. She says, don't worry. I had the difference between a nice compliment and me too. You are safe.
I think we got 192 episodes of Smallville to still watch. Or something like that. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. Don't get me started talking about Smallville. Someone, I see, brought up the Kents. I have not been really watching that new Superman series, the Superman and Lois. I feel bad because I think the casting for the leads is perfect, but I couldn't get into the pilot. I'm sorry. And yeah.
Oh, I have no doubt that the professor has a completely different take on me on a whole bunch of things.
Right.
But I'm sorry. Don't look for me to be on any shows with Professor Geek anytime soon.
Right.
And you can ask the professor why.
But what do we got
plus
here?
Size. Well, for me, I grew up in that time, and I love Snow White and Cinderella. I still enjoy them. Well, but Leia Plus Size, have you looked into the original stories that they're based on? I think most of us, after a certain age, kind of have. And you look at the Grimm fairy tales, and you look at, Hans Christian Andersen and so forth, and you realize that the original stories were very different from, what Disney gave us. Disney gave us a fairy tale, that's true, but original fairy tales were often very grim for a reason. They came out of a very grim time, and they were trying to teach children very grim lessons. I mean, the I personally think some of my favorite fairy tale adaptations have been Shelley Duvall's Showtime fairy tale theater, because they're pretty true to the original stories. They did a version of Little Mermaid with what was that girl's name that played in Mork and Mindy? She's married to Mark Harmon now. Pam Dauber. Thank you.
No.
Yeah. And
I used to watch that show.
Oh yeah, right.
Remember they did the Emperor and the Nightingale, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Yes.
And in Pam Dauber's version of Little Mermaid, she dies at the end. She does not get the prince, and she's actually given the opportunity to get her flippers back and regain her immortality if she kills the prince. And she loves him so much that she can't do it. So she drops the knife and throws herself off the ship. But the powers that be have to reward her self-sacrifice. They can't let her, just go. So they turn her into sea foam, and she becomes a spirit of protection. This is literally the original fairy tale. Okay. And that's what the Pam Dauber version was. I think there's a lot more to learn from those original stories. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the Disney version. I just think that if you stop there, you're doing yourself and your daughters a disservice. I really do.
What's your favorite fairy tale?
Well, I have a couple that I have a personal stake in. Pinocchio, because Italian. Okay. Peter Pan, because oh my God, Tinkerbell. Sorry, just in love with her. I mean,
okay.
Tinkerbell. I don't know. I got this thing for little blonde girls. What can I tell you? I mean,
it's fine.
See, and then that's throwing me kisses over there.
Okay.
But no, seriously. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to go off on a complete tangent here, but it's my show and I can. Peter Pan, my childhood has a lot involved with Peter Pan. So the day I was born, okay, when my mother went to the hospital to have me, she had wanted to see, I think it was Mary Martin in Peter Pan. It was being telecast, and she couldn't because she went into labor, so she missed it. In the 70s, when my brother was born, she was looking forward to seeing Sandy Duncan in Peter Pan, and she couldn't because she had my brother. But later, she took me to see Peter Pan at a drive-in theater. It was my first time going to the drive-in theater. She said it's not what she, had expected, but it was still pretty good. And then they did reruns of the Sandy Duncan version later, after my brother was a little bit older, so he got to see it too. And so she did finally get to see it. I never asked her if she got to see the what's her name? Rigby, the Olympic gymnast. She played Peter Pan. Kathy Rigby, was that her name? Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if she ever got to see that one. Would have been ironic if she missed that one too for some reason.
Would have been for pregnancy.
Well, wouldn't have been for pregnancy. There's only the two of us. But yeah. So yeah, Peter Pan, definitely in there in the favorites. Speaking of Sandy Duncan, she played Pinocchio too.
I saw the Pinocchio she did.
In fact, that's another one that my mom and we got to see together. It was on cable. I don't remember what cable. And she thought it was so funny. She loved the who's a me, who's a you, the whole Italian thing, the thing that people would nowadays be offended by.
Of
right?
course.
That's I don't know, cultural appropriation.
Cultural appropriation.
But my mom loved that. She still says that. Who's a me? Who's a you?
You know what's funny? You could watch a whole stream of '90s commercials and see how problematic they would be by modern standards. Remember the Taco Bell dog? He got into trouble. They're like, "Oh, you can't have the Taco Bell dog." Then they had like Pavarotti, like a Luciano Pavarotti singer for like a Domino's Pizza, the Pizza Trio, and they were all singing. They're funny if you watch those old '90s commercials.
I know.
Oh, someone knows in the chat. The Catman, AK.
So many things are funny that are not allowed anymore, and there's a lot of comedians talking about that today.
Yeah, and Donald Glover will be talking about him on Sunday. What he was saying about, yeah. Oh, but the Catman, aka D.D. Myers, is in the stream. You know him?
Oh, Catman, D.D. Myers. Oh, so glad. So that tells me that Max World Entertainment's show's done. Thanks for being here, my friend.
Hello,
so glad you're here.
Everyone, great to see you tonight. So what's Max World Entertainment been up to these days?
Well, I'm telling you, if you guys are not subscribing to Max World, if you are a Star Trek fan specifically, and you're not following Max World Entertainment, you're missing out, because first off, he's way more positive than I am. You know, he's the one that is always saying that you should, instead of bashing what you hate, support what you love, right? And he is always supporting the fans making Star Trek fan films, which in my opinion is better than anything that CBS is putting out these days. Just saying. I know that's not something he would say because he's so, you know, positive and light, but I'm just saying that's my feeling about it.
Positive and light is not what I would use to describe Picard, but anyway, I'll be good.
I know. I'm just saying. But yeah, he supports all the fan films. Not all of them are the best quality because they're fan films with zero budget, but they are good stories by people that understand Star Trek, which is more than I can say for CBS.
I don't know if CBS understands television anymore, but we'll see.
So I don't know. I guess I got to go ahead and make the announcement again. I just made it about 15 minutes ago, but I got to do it again because we got some new people. Is that okay, right. Boomer?
Go right ahead.
My show. I'm allowed?
Yeah, you're allowed.
So those of you listening, if you're a Star Wars fan, specifically an EU Star Wars fan, and you haven't gotten a hold of a copy of The Heart of the Jedi by Kenneth C. Flint, a book that was very, very briefly available on Amazon last week, you can there's still an opportunity for you to get a copy at a reasonable price. Right now it's going on eBay for anywhere between $100 and $600. Starting bids at $100, buy it now is for $600. But I'm going to give away a copy for free next week on my stream to some person that really, really wants it. So hopefully you'll be joining me next week if you can.
You can give it to me. I'll sell it on eBay for $600 or more, and then use it to buy Power Stone 2 for $600 or more.
I don't even know what the fuck Power Stone is.
It's a Sega Dreamcast game.
Of course it is.
Beating stuff up. It's some gaming thing. You never played the Super Star Wars games, did you? You missed out on those.
I did. I really did.
They were impossibly hard Star Wars games where you could play as Luke Skywalker and you're going around shooting Jawas. It's very fun.
Want to get back to this thing about canon, right?
Yes. Okay.
This whole idea about rewriting canon. And the reason they're doing it is they want to change your thinking. They really are. They're trying to re-engineer you. They want to force you to think the way they want you to think. You know, I would say, you know, personally, I'm waiting for them to rewrite the Bible. But in a way, they kind of have, right? Oh, you got a lot of people out there talking about tolerance. You know, and if you're a Bible believer, that's not what I read in the Bible, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. But it's really become the idea that these intersectional concepts, these woke, you know, ways of thinking have become a canon for the far left, and they want to cancel you if you don't believe what they believe. It has become a modern day McCarthyism, a modern day witch hunt. If you disagree with them in any way, they will cancel you. I'm sorry, but that is fascism.
Mm-hmm.
That is modern day fascism. This is how it starts. The things that Gina Carano said, absolutely true. She didn't say this is where we are. She didn't say we have concentration camps where we're killing people. She's saying it starts here and leads to that. Let's stop it now before we get there. Let's not wait until people are dying. You know, that seems actually pretty reasonable to me. That's what it means to learn from history. You know? But I'll tell you something else. It's the hypocrisy that bothers me so much, okay? You have a bunch of modern day feminists, okay, holding up the Handmaid's Tale like, oh my gosh, this is the future we're heading to if you take away my right to my body. Right. And yet these are the same people that saying we need to enforce vaccination, you need to wear masks, and lock down to lessen the curve. Look, either it's my body, my choice, or it's not. It applies to me getting a vaccination just as much as it does to your choice about whether or not you get an abortion. You want to kill your baby? That's fucking up to you. Whether I get an injection is up to me too. Just saying.
Oh, but the CDC is saying you don't have to wear a mask if you have the vaccine now. They're finally saying that. So
yeah,
baby steps.
Until someone decides, I don't know that you had a vaccine. Why aren't you wearing a mask? It's the same.
No, you'll
as
have
a lot
to
of the
wear.
boys
No,
that came back from World War I.
No, you
and they were being handed poppies.
No, you have to show your papers.
Well,
yeah. Show me your papers.
Yeah,
otherwise
show you your vaccination badge that you have to wear around your neck everywhere now. If you're not
show your papers. Yep. And wear a little star on your shirt to show that you're vaccinated.
Yeah, there you go. So
I'm serious. This is what we're talking about when we say if you don't learn from history, you're destined to repeat it. This isn't hyperbole. This is if you don't listen, you will be living that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
But look, it's not all bad. We got Solomon Kane and Conan series coming, right?
I'm just all that kind of stuff on Sunday. Absolutely.
And you know you'll be able to be in your backyard this 4th of July.
And here's the thing too. I don't know if I should be encouraged by this or discouraged by this, but I do see the left tearing themselves apart because now they're starting to infight, right? You have the feminists wanting to defend feminism against the transgendered who are saying, but I'm a woman now.
That's a thing in England. That actually shows the difference between like an English feminist and American feminist. In England, they're not wanting to necessarily accept that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what got J.K. Rowling into trouble. Remember?
Well, again,
she's big old feminist.
This is the whole Sarah Silverman thing, right? But you're a woman. Listen, it's very important that it is a transgendered person. Okay. This is someone that lived most of his life as a man and is now a woman. Now, if you want to say that a man can be a woman, then you are throwing out everything you believe as a feminist, okay? That you're somehow oppressed by, toxic masculinity because now a man can just become a woman, and now you don't get to have your position as a woman because any man can just decide to be a woman and take your position.
They've never defined toxically masculine. That's this word they came up with. Like, oh, I don't want to be that. And I'm like, what does that mean? No one's ever defined it for me. I know if I ask them what the response is going to be, it's not my job to educate you. That's what they'll say.
I'll tell you exactly
you don't have
what
a definition
they actually
for what
mean.
that is. It's just
it
some
means
word you
you're
made
a man.
up.
I consider that toxic because I hate men. It
Okay,
really is
go.
a sexist point of view. I feel I've been oppressed because I'm a woman. Therefore, it's okay for me to hate you because you're a man.
Oh, Wolf 10 has it's one of the more recent comments. You should check it out.
Which one?
It should be near the bottom. They stopped reading the Bible. Yeah, here we go. They stop reading the Bible and find the Bible somewhere else. Handmaid's Tale.
Well,
They
yeah,
leave the family and find
look,
the family somewhere else.
the
Cycle
same
starts there.
hypocrites that are so offended by religion have made politics and identity politics their religion. They really have. I mean,
Cool.
It really is. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. But yeah, it's a crazy time that we live in, people. It really is.
But when
it comes to I just want to real quick go back to something I was saying about corporate America and Hollywood in general. Their primary motivator is money, right? But they have people in place that want to press an agenda. When they realize that agenda doesn't make money, they're very slow to change, right? Why is that? At least in part, a very corporate mindset that says in for a penny, in for a pound. Well, we've already spent so much money on this Star Wars movie, this Star Wars trilogy. We got to see it through. And that momentum of how much money was spent on the sequel trilogy, it's what's continuing to push, let's push Rey, let's push, these things about the sequel and the new look of the stormtroopers and Kylo Ren and blah, 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 because it's the future and it's the momentum of in for a penny, in for a pound. Okay. Yeah. And it takes a while for them to realize we're just shoveling good money after bad. We got to stop this, and I think they've gotten to that point with Star Wars. They really, really have. It's funny because one of the things we probably won't be talking about on Sunday is something that Geeks and Gamers brought up, and they brought it up kind of tongue in cheek. It was a piece about how Rey is coming back and she is going to be the voice of Starfleet. You know what I'm talking about, right?
No. I just saw the thing.
They're going to be selling. They're selling her lightsaber at Disney stores, and
was that Daisy Ridley in the actual promotion of it?
No, it was not.
Okay, I thought it was a lookalike. That's what I thought.
It was a lookalike, but they're pushing the character, and Rey this and Rey that, and her sword is being sold in the stores, and blah 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 blah. And she's going to be pushed as the new spokesperson of Star Wars, and it was pushed by Geeks and Gamers. And they were saying it completely tongue in cheek, because at the very end of the video they said, no, maybe it wasn't Geeks and Gamers, maybe it was Jay from Drunk 3PO, because at the end of it he says, and what was my source for this? Mike Zero. So take that for what it's worth. That's as much as seeing an article on April Fools. That's cool. What it is when you see something from Mike Zero.
Cool.
Nope, seriously.
That's funny. Yeah, I know. You know what, though?
No, Samuel Proctor. They mean her actual lightsaber, the one that was made from her staff. It's a yellow blade.
The yellow lightsaber.
Let me tell you something. Yellow blade. Look back at the lore of where the yellow blade comes from. The yellow blade is a mistake. The yellow blade only exists because, for whatever reason, Kenner kept making mistakes and giving the yellow blade to different action figures that never had them in the movies.
Like Luke would have a yellow blade, or Obi-Wan or something like that.
Yep. And it switched back and forth, and it was actually quite hysterical. Retro Blasting has a great video. Search for Retro Blasting. I think it's like Don't Eat the Yellow Lightsaber is what it's called. Check it out. It's funny but very informative on the history of the Kenner action figures and the Kenner brand and the yellow lightsaber and where it comes from. But ultimately what it comes down to is anybody who knows Star Wars and knows where the yellow lightsaber comes from knows it's a counterfeit and a mistake, and that's exactly what Rey is wielding. What does that tell you?
That she's not a real Jedi.
That she's a mistake, and that the people that are writing for her are making the same mistakes. They have no idea what they're talking about.
Did you know that a movie came out with Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland, and like nobody went to see it? Did you hear about that?
No.
Okay, I mean, I would have covered it, but it was already bad, late news. It was based on some young adult novel, and it bombed. It completely bombed.
The only thing that I know of that Daisy Ridley was in was she played a corpse, a topless corpse in some movie. That's all I know.
Okay, that's weird.
It is weird, but her boobs are out there, just so you know.
Okay, I'm gonna play
for those of you that care. But yeah,
that was a stiff performance. I'm sorry, because you're playing a stiff.
No, literally, she literally played a dead body. I mean, you don't have to do a whole lot of acting to play that role. People would argue she didn't do a lot of acting as Rey. So,
you know what? I am gonna say this. I know I'm gonna get flack for this. I don't hate Daisy Ridley.
She's better than Captain Man-Pants.
Yeah, Again, well, of course, she had that thing about Ted. Don't involve yourself in American politics. Just stay out of it. Never mind. I don't care anymore. Whatever. I don't care anymore.
No, look. All I do is I look at all of the cultural Marxism, the oppression, the think what we say, or you'll be canceled for wrong think. It's all appeasement, right? All these companies, all these politicians that keep listening to the Twitterazzi and the SJW minority and doing whatever they say, it's appeasement. And how did appeasement work for Neville Chamberlain? That's all I'm going to say.
We were watching Darkest Hour this week on Birdman's channel.
Oh, damn, I missed it.
Have you seen Darkest Hour?
I have not, although I do have it on DVD.
I highly recommend you watch it. Now,
I absolutely will.
We were talking, someone was saying they don't make good movies. Darkest Hour is a good movie. I recommend it. See, I don't know how much longer those types of movies are going to exist. The historical movies about big events like 1917, Darkest Hour.
You've seen Dunkirk, right?
I haven't seen Dunkirk yet. I was talking about this during the stream. I own it. Yep. I just haven't gotten around to watching it yet.
Great movie.
It's been a movie. I've been meaning to watch it. I just haven't gotten around to it. It's like those movies that are on your shelf. It's like you and Dunkirk. You haven't gotten around to watching it yet. It's you and not you and Dunkirk. You and Darkest Hour. Anyway,
what was that other World War II film that they did about the Pacific? It starts with the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Midway. Did you see that one?
I did.
That would have been a much better movie if they'd have turned it into 3 damn movies. It could have been a trilogy.
That movie was better than I thought it would be because I heard Roland Emmerich did it, and I think, oh, this is going to be a cheese fest, but it wasn't bad. It was a solid, I think, retelling of the Battle of Midway. It's not bad.
Better than I thought it would be, but not as good as it could have been.
No, I wasn't. It's not going to be on.
They covered way too much ground in 2 hours. Like I said, they could have made it 3 movies.
I am going to say this. I know it's funny that I keep coming back to Greyhound, but I made fun of it at first. But actually, fairly solid World War II movie, Greyhound. It's based on a book, not an actual event, but of course, this stuff happened in World War II about the wolf packs that the German organization I can't name by name used in World War II, and about how they went after the ships that we were trying to, and we had battleships trying to protect those ships from getting brought down. And Tom Hanks plays a captain of one of those ships. It's a pretty good movie. It's only 90 minutes long.
What movie is that?
Greyhound. It's stuck on Apple TV Plus. So
I'll check it out. But I want to comment on what Leia Plus Size is saying. She's saying something very insightful, in my opinion. My issue is the feminists of today hate the idea of love. So when they reboot these fairy tales, they hate the idea of the princess falling in love with a man.
Yeah.
There is
Frozen. That's Frozen. Okay.
Well, I've got other problems with Frozen. Again, this comes back to the original fairy tale.
Okay, right.
Because Frozen is actually a story about a villain. It really is.
The Snow Queen.
The story that became Disney's Frozen has almost no bearing on the original story it's based on.
Which they did do on Fairy Tale Theater. I remember that one too.
Yes, they did. Queen. Excellent point. But Leia Plus Size, I'm going to say that this falls into the same category as all the deconstructionists that want a realistic Superman movie, that are pushing the Snyderverse. Okay. This whole idea that everything needs to be dark and gritty. Okay. The idea of being hopeful, of being, fairy tale positive, even if it's not realistic. Okay. Giving you something to strive for. Look, utopia is not attainable, but we all still need to strive for it because that's the only way you see improvement. And the fairy tale is almost never attainable, but it is still worth striving for. And it sets up your expectations in your relationships. What do you want in your relationship? Okay. I had certain expectations of what I wanted in a wife. My wife had certain expectations of what she wanted in a husband. Actually, I don't even know if either one of us got what we originally were anticipating in our original ideas of what a perfect spouse was. But I'd like to think that in the decades that we've been married, we've grown into that for each other. I mean, if we're not, we're still working towards it because it's never going to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. But if you don't ever set up that dream, it can never even come close to being a reality. So you may as well just tell your girls, you know what? Life sucks. Men all suck. Stay single. Never even try to be happy. What the hell kind of a life is that to set up for your kids?
Well, they don't word it that way, but yeah.
But that is exactly what they're saying.
I'm telling you, but we'll see. Maybe there'll be a shift coming up soon, as we're hoping about the culture war shifting. Maybe, I don't know. You were saying you were making that point earlier before the stream.
Samuel Proctor, Daisy Ridley's hot. Okay.
Yeah, you know what? I have to say she has a great smile. I am going to say that.
I'll tell you
Daisy
this.
Ridley.
There's a bunch of cosplayers out there doing Ray cosplays.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Okay.
That's what the internet is for. What is the internet for? Those of you that have seen or heard the soundtrack of Avenue Q, what is the internet for? I'll give a special no prize to the first person who tells me what the internet is for.
I think I know, but we'll commerce.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
but what sells most, right?
I know.
Yeah, I just gave it.
I don't
away.
think anybody wants to
I
say.
gave it away to anyone who's paying attention.
Everyone's been.
But I think Nanette might actually be typing in the answer right now.
You know, whoever gets this question right will get a copy of Star Wars: The Force Awakens novelization. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
For looking up stuff like stuff.
No, I was gonna say the book, your fancy book that's worth $600, but no.
You know what? Your
novelization of The Force
Netta's
Awakens.
right if she's using stuff the way I think she is.
Is anybody saying anything? They're all too chicken. They don't want to say. Anyway.
Yep. That's exactly right. She just pantomimed it.
Okay.
She gets the no prize unless anyone else can come up with it.
Look at William Jackson.
Let me see if I can find the lyrics here.
What's this thing? Inflation surge? What are they talking about?
Got it.
Did he? Let's see.
Second from the bottom.
William Jackson. Yep. The internet is for porn. The internet is for porn.
What is that?
That's
Avenue?
Exactly right.
What?
Yeah, I would encourage you, look up The Internet is for Porn, Avenue Q, original Broadway cast. It is hysterical.
I need to watch.
You will
Avenue
laugh
Q.
until you pee.
I need to watch that. I know that gets performed every so often. That would be a cool play to see. I did see the Evil Dead play. Did I ever tell you about this?
Evil
It was
Dead?
at a
No.
local theater. It was like a community theater, but they put on the Evil Dead musical. What do you think of that?
I don't know. I just
The first two rows was the splatter section.
It's crazy.
Okay, that's where the fake blood's gonna
Okay,
hit you.
I got it. So this is Katie Monster talking with Trekkie Monster. Katie Monster says, "Finally, I get to teach a whole lesson all by myself, and I'm going to teach something relevant, something modern. The internet. The internet is really, really great." Trekkie Monster, "For porn. I got a fast connection, so I don't have to wait for porn. There's always some new site for porn. I browse all day and night for porn."
Oh, this is
It's
like
like
a song.
It's like, yeah, it's like I'm suffering at the speed. It's like I'm surfing at the speed of light for porn. Trekkie. The internet is for porn. Why do you think the net was born? Porn, porn, porn.
No.
And then she's like, "Oh, wait a minute. The internet is not just for porn. I know that the other day you bought me a really nice gift on the internet." He goes, "Yeah. And you know what me did immediately after buying you that gift? No!"
No.
Oh, Avenue Q is hysterical. Just think of Sesame Street and make it R-rated. That's what Avenue Q is. It's hysterical.
I need to
Very
check that out.
offensive to everybody. The way humor should be.
All right, I will check it out. All right, Troy, it's getting late. I hate to abandon you.
11:30, huh?
Well, I have 12:30. I'm in Florida time, dude.
Well, I can't help it that you're a future guy.
Oh,
All right. So I guess I'm going to end it with this. Okay.
All right,
My
sure.
biggest problem with the way things are going these days is it's the coarsening of our culture.
Yep.
If you look at what's happening on the socialist media, okay, the cancel culture, the way we treat each other online, and we'll be probably talking about this a little bit more on Sunday. If any of you guys are followers of Analog Toys
Yep.
just posted a video today on YouTube that it's just a few minutes long because it gives a connection to a downloadable video on Dropbox because he didn't want to put it on YouTube, where he talks about some drama that's going on in the toy community. And it got me thinking that it's this coarsening of our culture, this dehumanization that we're doing to each other, where we become Facebook friends and we never see each other face to face. And somehow, if you say something that offends me, I can just erase your comment and I can block you on social media. And it's like you never existed. You're not a real human being.
That's what happened to him, right?
That's exactly what happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's happened to a lot of you too. And I'm talking people in our own community, people that claim to be Christians, that somehow think that their YouTube channel and their brand is more important than the human being at the other end of the video, at the other end of the internet there, you know? And, you know, you can support me financially and Patreon and all the other things, but boy, you say something I don't like and you're just persona non grata. And I just see so many people in our community, so many people that otherwise would agree with each other so much, falling into the same trap that the cancel culture left is engaging in. You know, Trey over at Max World Entertainment says, in a world where you could be anything, choose to be kind. And there's not enough people in this world that are doing that. It's my way or the highway. If you don't agree with me 100%, you're my enemy. I will block you. I will dox you. I don't want to have anything to do with you. and I'll take your money until you realize I've blocked you and decide to stop supporting me, you know?
Yeah.
It's got to stop, man, because that's how they divide us, you know? Anyway, I guess that's the moral of you know, the story for tonight. Sunday, well, Saturday, tomorrow night,
Mhm.
well, later tonight for some of y'all,
Yeah.
over on Netters Network, we'll be watching Alien Nation, a great sci-fi film that I'm willing to bet a lot of you haven't seen, but definitely worth it. If you can find it, let's watch it together and talk about it. Sunday night, 8:00 Central, that's 9 Eastern time, over on Aged Boomers channel, Geeky Geezers. We'll be talking about some of these things that we talked about tonight, but really the week in review in geeky culture. Do we have a cultural fortress on Tuesday?
There will be. I'm not going to be on it, but Matchstick will be there. Maybe Wolf 10, some other guests,
Yep.
and I'll
Go
be
over
on
to
in
Mr.
the week
Matchstick's
after.
channel and hit like and subscribe and hit the notification bell and check him out on Tuesday. Of course, Wolf 10 Media with his Wolf 10 Rambles on Tuesday, usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays, late afternoon. Wednesday night, what are you guys doing on the soundtracks?
Soundtracks with Birdman. We are doing Wall-E.
Wall-E.
The Disney movie. Oh, is Netter like the movie? I've never seen it, so I need to watch it.
Really?
Oh, I own it, but
dude, that's a good one. That's a very very topical one.
Okay,
right
well,
now,
I will definitely watch before our stream then. All right.
But also Green Lion Girl with her game streams on Wednesday nights, and I don't think she had a live stream this today, but she usually has one on Fridays. She's like 2 or 3 uploads today, though.
Cool.
And that'll bring us around to the next movie night. So, well, next week, Friday night, again, if you're interested, I will be giving away a copy of Heart of the Jedi by Kenneth C. Flint to some lucky listener next week. Hopefully you'll be joining me. And that's all I got. Anything else from you, Boomer?
No, just I'll hopefully see you guys on Sunday, but you can always catch it in repeats too if you don't have time to listen to it. I'm going to try to get better with these clip videos too. I've been putting, you can always check out the good old days segments we do. Those are kind of fun and they don't tend to get stale. So
I was surprised by how much I enjoyed, your little segment from me on the Millennium Falcon Extraordinaire.
Yeah, I put the other one up too, where we were talking about the one that got away, which really wasn't one that got away for you because you have the sail barge, but
Yeah. Yeah, almost did. But yeah, I mean, support what you love, but I don't know, man, you still got to fight against what you hate if you want to bring about change in this world. It's the only way.
Balance, I think, is the best way. And I will say this too. Find things you like, and if you can find new things you like too, like I got back into Nintendo, and they're still going strong. Just so I can still say, okay, I may not like where a lot of other things have gone in the culture, but I can still play a game of Super Mario Odyssey or something else. And that's sort of what Cultural Fortress is about. It's about enjoying the old stuff, but also current stuff that maybe hasn't gotten infected yet. So cool.
Yep. All right. Well, I thank you all for joining me. So glad you're here. Any last words, Boomer?
No, everyone have a good night, and I will try and make that popcorn the net suggested. Send me a thing on how to make popcorn better than the movie theater. I'm curious.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Super appreciate you all. Look forward to seeing you in the future. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night, y'all.